refused to share his inheritance, so I went off on him.
Give me the money, I ain't playing.
My father passed away recently and left everything to my brother and me. My dad got serious with my stepmother when I was 11. My dad has raised my stepsister since she was 6, and even though I was 11, I came to see and call my stepmother my real mom. By the way, this comes from Comfortable Seat 459, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
And I am Savannah.
I'm Carly.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do. So let us know what you would do in the comments. But OP says, I know my sister feels the same about my dad. When my mom passed away, she left everything to him. I don't know why, but dad changed his will to leave everything to me and my brother. My brother and I were always accepted and treated equally by her and her family. Our grandparents on her side have always treated us equally and definitely included us as equal grandchildren. Obviously, my sister was really hurt. She saw him as a real dad and thought he saw us as equals, but apparently he didn't. That's such a devastating realization to have after you've already lost your mom.
Yeah. How great's that?
Yeah. It's like, actually, now that you've lost your mom, I'm not your dad either.
Oh, great.
Let's
Awesome.
get
Anything
two in
else?
one go. She saw him as her real dad and thought he saw us as equals, but apparently he didn't. I tried to talk to my brother and suggested we should give her her third, even if dad didn't include it. He refused because it's not what dad wanted and said she could inherit from the rest of her family and whatnot. That's such a rude, I don't know. That's such like a terrible move to be like, well, he said that I couldn't give the money to her, so I guess I can't help her out at all, you know? Like, your brother's being kind of rude. I think it's unreasonable and unfair. It includes assets and money originally from mom. Plus, mom's will stated that if dad passed away before her, it would be split among us equally. She didn't just favor her biological daughter over us. I got upset and called my brother greedy and selfish for going along with excluding her. We had a big fight after that, and my fiance thinks I'm in the wrong. She thinks I should accept their choice and do what my father wanted. She says I'm being a butt by insulting my brother and disagreeing. I can't agree. It feels like I'm betraying my sister and mom. Am I really the a-hole here? And there are some relevant comments and an update, but what do you think?
Yeah, no, I feel like stepsister should definitely get some.
I mean, especially if some of that money is her mom's.
Yeah, who knows when he wrote the will, too.
Yeah.
Like, it might have been, like, before any of that happened.
And he never updated it.
Yeah, and was like, sorry,
He's like,
didn't know this was
shoot.
going to happen.
Like, he's up from above. He's like, no, wait. I knew I was forgetting something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that your brother is being greedy. You can't really, like, legally force him to do anything because that he is right. It is his money. He doesn't have to share it with her. But it is pretty greedy.
Is there any, like, legal things you can do? Because I know it doesn't, like, mention her specifically, but obviously, like, people, that's why they write wills in the first place. And so, like, everything's kind of organized, so everything, like, knows where things are going.
Yeah. So, maybe, like, looking at the mom's will to see if there's something that could, because some of it's her money.
Yeah, I would definitely talk to everyone and be like, listen, Sissy gotta have some too.
She gotta have just a little bit.
I'm sure she also, like, took care of them and stuff.
Yeah. Relevant comments. Comment 1 says, nobody is stopping you giving a share based on half of what she would have gotten, but you can't force your brother to. If it means that much to you, then of course you should split your share. If your brother ever changes his mind, he can give her the portion of the third he currently has. Lead by example, and if he doesn't follow, that's his prerogative. OP says, it's not exactly going to be even unless he does, though. Like, I'm willing to give her half of mine if he won't give her anything. I'm definitely currently more financially secure than her, but I feel like it's still selfish of him not to give her any. Comment 2 says, not the a-hole. Wanting to share the money with your sister is understandable, especially as she just lost her stepfather too. It shows empathy. However, it's also understandable that your brother doesn't want to share and that he's trying to fulfill your father's wishes. My suggestion is to give your sister part of your inheritance, maybe if you feel like she's entitled to it. OP says, Yeah, if he keeps refusing, that's what I'll do. I just wanted some validation if I'm not crazy, since my fiance was agreeing with my brother. Comment 3 says, you're the a-hole. You can give your stepsister your money. Why do you think you can control what your brother does with his money? You seem entitled, and that entitlement will destroy your sibling relationship. You are the only one selfish here, as selfish as you don't care what your brother wants to do with his money. Are y'all getting money from her side of the family? Yes. Yes. Does this person not read your story?
Yeah, I really don't understand the whole. I don't think she's an a-hole at all.
No.
We're trying to like figure this out, you know?
Yeah, no, I think that's ridiculous to say that, oh, like for this person to say that you're the a-hole when your mother, or, you know, stepmother for the sake of the story, but your stepmom gave all of you guys money, and some of your dad's will is that money. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. I feel like they're, like, I don't know, you don't have to take it from, you know, other people.
Yeah.
In order to like make it even or whatnot. But I mean, I would just think that everyone would want to, but obviously if they don't, then, you know, it's theirs, but whoever wants to give can give.
Yeah, I think that's it. Again, what is stopping you from giving your stepsister half of your money? You refusing to give up your half, but demand. That's not true. Yeah. I don't think this commenter actually read the story.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
But demand he give up his money is what makes you the a-hole. You literally had a fight over how he can spend his money just because you're refusing to give up your own. What? OP says, I can do that, but it won't be equal unless he chips in as well. He would have doubled us both in that case. And I literally said in the post, everything from my mom's side got left to dad. Yeah, her bio father won't include me and brother, but our bio mother won't include her either. How am I entitled when I'm literally advocating to have less money? I'm saying we split the full amount to give her a third that we should help and include our sister. I would be giving her money too, obviously, but to make all 3 siblings equal. Comment 3 says, you are worried about it being equal, which is what makes you selfish.
That's not selfish, though.
This is such a weird comment.
Yeah. Like, I don't understand, like, that in my eyes, I guess. That's not selfish if you want everything to kind of be equal and make everyone feel good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't find that selfish at all.
You were worried about his money rather than your sister's and your own. Stop pocket watching your brother. Focus on your own bank account. Don't be concerned about how much money he's getting, as that's not your money, it's his money. And you are entitled because you think you can demand he give his money up to the charity of your choice, which is your sister. Dang. You're also not advocating for less money, as if you split it your way, you get 33%. If everyone splits it evenly, but if you just give up your money to your sister, you would only get 25%, so you're actually advocating for more money for yourself. This person is stupid.
Yeah, it's like arguing with a wall, honestly.
Doesn't know math. So just commenter. So math works like this. OP's saying, I want to give half of my stuff that I currently have to my sister. And I also want my brother to give half of his stuff that he has currently to his sister. Now, what happens if they both give half of that away? Now he has 25% of what he originally had. Not 33.3. That's not right. False. Anyway.
See, I couldn't tell you if you're right or wrong because I'm not good with numbers.
Well, if the dad had originally split it 3 ways, then yes, it would split it 3 ways. Then yes, it would be 33.3. But that's not what happened.
Yeah,
he split it 2 ways, and now OP wants to split it. He wants to split
the
split.
I get it.
OP says, but currently I have 50%. My proposal gives me 33%. If I was entitled, why would I want less money? Yeah, 33% of the overall thing, but it doesn't, like this, the commenter before was like, you would get more. No. Giving your sister equal treatment isn't charity. You clearly see it like my fiance, but I just can't understand. A parent should help all his children. Mom sets things up to benefit all 3 of us, only for dad to take advantage and exclude my sister for whatever effing reason he did such a horrible thing. OP clarifies on the inheritance that was left to their dad from their stepmom after her passing. Did their sister get anything from her mother? OP says no. I said it would have been split, but it was all left to dad. She got nothing left to her from her mother from the will because dad gave it all to me and my brother. Obviously, she has some physical items because even if everything was legally dad's, in practice, us kids are going to have mementos. But in terms of assets and money, she got jack squat because, from what I can tell, their understanding was that the surviving spouse would split among the kids. I'm dumb. I thought he was saying that he both have them to get. Dang, I went on a whole rant and that commenter was actually right. Wow.
See, and I couldn't correct him.
And you couldn't correct me. I went on a whole rant because I thought that he was saying that he wants to give half, but he does actually want to do the 3-way split. I think he's saying that he would give half to her, but I think he's saying, yeah, if the brother was in on it, they wouldn't give both half. Yeah.
It also sucks that like the mom didn't leave anything to her. Like her bio mom didn't leave anything to her.
Yeah.
Like how can you do that? Give it all to your, husband.
Yeah.
And then the husband's going to give it to his bio children.
Yeah.
But she gets nothing.
Yeah, she gets nothing. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'd be like, okay, I would do that. I would definitely give her something.
I think OP could give half. But it does suck that the brother. I mean, you can't do anything about the brother. Commenter 4 says, I hate this commenter. But that's the thing. Again, you're here making all the fuss about stuff that you don't know about or understand. Your dad made a choice and didn't have to explain it. You thinking it's unfair and unequal doesn't necessarily mean it is. There could have been other factors or reasons why he left things this way. You making all the demands and being judgmental towards other without knowing the details is ridiculous and unfair. This commenter is stupid.
I don't think that it's ridiculous and unfair. I feel like
half of it is some of it is her money.
Yeah.
Because it's her mom's money.
Because it's her mom's, yeah. So I feel like she's not being selfish. She's not, like, why would she, that makes no sense, how people are saying you're selfish when
I think
she's
OP's
the one
a guy,
offering the money. But
I think OP's a guy.
Oh.
I think. I could be wrong.
But no, I feel like I would think after a parent's passing, especially your own parent, even if they, left you nothing or something, but then that parent also passed and then left everything. Like, I would just think in my mind, okay, I'm going to help her out, whatever. Like that, it just doesn't seem, although, it's not fair or equal or whatever, because it's what the will is what the will is. But I don't understand why they wouldn't have her in mind.
Yeah.
That's like, unless she did something that like.
But even if like, let's say they don't have a great relationship, dad and stepdaughter, and she did something or he did, something happened. I honestly don't think he has a right to not give her any money because it's from her mom. I think that kind of negates any reason.
That's true. Yeah, because it's kind of, you're getting like what? Double inheritance, basically.
Yeah. OP says he made a blatantly unfair choice. If there was other factors, he should have effing told us, or even just her. Not treated her like a daughter, even until he passed. Don't have her find out after she's mourning and hears the will. She took more care of him than I did in his last months. I work and don't live close. Was there a reason why OP's father cut his sister off from the will, and she deserves her restitution? OP says if he has any, he never told us. As far as I knew, he was treating her as a daughter until he passed away. Heck, I used to half-jokingly call her his favorite. Comment 5 says your stepmother could have left the money for her daughter in her own will. She didn't. You didn't know that she and your father didn't discuss that he would do it this way because she has another parent, and your mom isn't going to have anything to split. Her choices, if she were the one to pass second, are not necessarily the same as the choices they made if she passed first. The truth is, you don't know. You don't know that they didn't tell your sister and she's choosing to tell you she doesn't know. You only know what you know, which may or may not be the full truth. How old is everyone now? OP says, plus I was literally there. I saw my sister. There's no way she was faking how hurt and betrayed she was. She has always been a terrible actor and a terrible liar. I am 31, partner 32, sister 26, brother 29, dad was 62 when he passed. OP, wow, that's young. OP on his stepsister's biological father and their bio mom. OP says her dad barely sees her, he's a complete a-hole, and she accepted and loved my dad very quickly when he treated her like a father should. He does have money, but neither of us know what his will is. My bio mom is still alive, unfortunately. I would assume she's leaving it to us both, though it probably won't be much given how she lives. Was OP's father current will the original one to the date, or did he update his will? OP says no. His current will is a rewrite. Even if he just lied to Mom about being the same as hers, it's dated after her passing. Well, now I feel like he changed it.
Yeah.
Now it feels like maybe they talked about it and we're like, we're going to split it amongst all of our kids.
That's crazy. So there's a reason that they're not involving the sister. I don't know why. I don't know if he just thinks that she's better off, or maybe she doesn't deserve it or something like that, or if there was a problem, something happened. I have no idea what the issue is, but that's pretty screwed up.
Yeah. But there is an update nearly 2 weeks later. Also, for clarity, the inheritance includes money and assets from my stepmother. I call her Mom, not my bio mother, which I seemingly did not make clear enough in the original post. You did. Those commenters were just stupid. She left everything to Dad because at the time, they had identical wills that left everything to their partner or kids equally if they survived their partner. After the post, I gave my brother a few days for us to calm down and to see if his mind would change, but it didn't. So I decided to talk to my sister. At advice from a commenter, I brought up suing under family provision, but she was against it and basically said the money isn't worth that time and money in court. So I told her I would just give her half of my inheritance. She tried to reject it, but I insisted, and she ended up accepting. We talked a lot about everything and our parents. She was angry and sad enough to cry, just trying to understand why Dad did what he did. I reassured her that whatever Dad thought, she's my little sister. I love her and nothing would change that. Neither of us understand why this happened or what his reasoning was, but she's definitely happy and appreciative that I don't feel the same. Next week, I'm going to see someone to find the best way to give it to her to minimize losing a chunk to taxes and whatnot. But so far, I think I'm making the right decision. As for my brother, I just can't accept his choice. With how many people thought I was overreacting or wrong to expect him to do differently, maybe I'm being unreasonable, but I just can't see him in the same way now. He gladly chose money over his sibling, over his family. He clearly doesn't care about the unfairness or our sister. Maybe it'll change, but right now I just can't stand to be around him. I hope the money makes him happy because that's clearly what he loves more. By the way, we would love if you would listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to this story. Any final thoughts?
I mean, I just think that it is a terrible thing that the dad did, and whether it was knowingly or unknowingly, which I would like to assume that it was knowingly because it was changed after the other passing.
They had original wills that included everyone. So.
Yeah. So, like, I have no idea why they didn't include her and how that must make her feel, too. Because it's like, oh, I guess I'm just nothing.
And you can never ask him about it.
Exactly,
That's the devastating thing. You can never ask. Like, maybe, if he was 62, probably wasn't, like, he was sick, so he probably, unless it was some, like, accident or something, I'm assuming he was sick for a while. So I don't know if they had some kind of conversation that made him change his mind or upset him, and he made this kind of...
And she's also the youngest. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I just feel like that's... Usually, the youngest get a lot more than everyone else just because they're the youngest. But I don't understand what the reasoning was behind that. I think that it's very unfair, and I think that it's very heartbreaking to, feel that, and you'll never get an answer, never get closure for that, and that's just how it is. And also the brother reacting the way that he did, that's, everyone can deal with it differently. It doesn't make him a bad person. It doesn't, I don't think. That's just, some people just deal with that way, and that's what his goals are, and that's what, the other person's goals are. Obviously, in my family at least, like, we would all be looking out for each other. We don't care much for money. Not that we have billions of it anyway, but,
like, you would hope that.
You never think that it's gonna, like,
turn out like this.
Yeah, you never want it to be.
But there is a little bit left. Unfortunately, the situation hasn't changed too much, but I feel a lot more confident in my choice. While my fiancé still ultimately thinks it would be best to follow Dad's wishes, she understands that I want to do right by my sister and is all right with it. I'm glad I wasn't completely crazy or irrational in wanting a just outcome for my sister. For now, I plan to be there for my sister and make it clear I see her as a sister and actually love her. She deserves it with everything she's going through. As much as I feel from this, it must be much worse for her, and she doesn't deserve it. Thank you all for the responses, judgments, and advice. Except for that one commenter. That one commenter, you kind of sucked. Comment 1 says, your brother is showing you exactly who he is, and you should believe him. Good on you for doing right by your sister. That takes actual character. The money will be gone eventually, but she'll always remember you had her back when it mattered. OP says, thanks. While there is a small part of me that hesitated, that's how most of me feels. I definitely hope she realizes how much she means to me. Comment 2 says, I know this is just a crazy theory, but how crazy it would be if it turned out that your brother manipulated your father to change the will or something. I think, yeah, I doubt that happened. Either way, you're a good brother. He is not. It's not worth staying in touch with him. Focus on the real family you have. OP says, honestly, I don't believe that happened. Or at least don't want to. I mean, he did seem surprised when we found out. Unless he was faking it, I guess. But at the end of the day, apparently doing what Dad wanted was more important than treating our sister right. That's my plan so far. Maybe one day it'll change, but for now, I just can't stand him. I mean, it's not about doing what Dad wanted. That the thing is, I doubt that your brother is, the law's #1 champion. I think he wants to do what Dad wants because it benefits him.
Yeah.
My husband invited his long-lost half-brother to our home without my permission.
We gotta check in with the wife. We gotta make the missus okay with it.
Husband, 50 plus, found out around 2020 that he apparently had a long-lost half-brother who is at least 20 years older than him. This man was given up for adoption and apparently found the DNA connection via ancestry with my husband's full-blood sister. By the way, this comes from user 999-888-777-66655. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
And I'm Angie.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. He reached out and started a very awkward and very quick connection and was invited to our home. I was not really thrilled about this. Back in 2020. They met, we never saw any DNA, but my husband vows this man is his brother. I was cordial with this meeting, but felt very awkward since my husband and I have a 15-year age gap, so his new brother is near my father's age. Visit came and went. Then, a few years later, we moved cities, and not long after we moved, without asking me, my husband invited this man to come live in our city and work at a brand new business we had just opened. That business was not making money at the time, so we were basically going to be funding this man's life. He stayed again at our home for a few weeks this time and finally found his own place with the money we paid him for a job that should never have been given that early to opening. Not long into this move, we found out via the landlord that this man had apparently been living in the basement of our new business. The is this business was under my name only, and I have no connection to this man other than we met now twice in very forced and awkward situation. My husband freaked out on the brother, fired him, and made him get his stuff out of the business, and that was that. He didn't speak for a while, and I guess eventually slowly worked on a relationship. By the way, this brother is very much a grifter. He moves from place to place and doesn't have a good relationship with his own children, which really weirds me out. He has been back with his second ex-wife for a place to stay, eventually got one child to have him for a short time, then was living with his first ex-wife's mother to help, but really for a place to live. 3 days ago, my husband announced his brother was going to be coming to stay with us for 2 weeks.
No.
Why? I flipped out since he didn't ask or discuss this with me at all. The last time this man was around, he actively screwed me and my husband over. I've not personally spoken to the brother since then. Apparently, my husband bought his flight that night and he arrived the next morning. I was cordial when he came in, but my husband and I had fought the night before because I didn't want this man coming into our home without agreeing on things, let alone for 2 weeks. Since his arrival, my husband has basically only taken this man's side. He is now calling me a demon because I'm ignoring his brother, who is very religious, by the way, but left his role at the church long ago, which cost him his first wife, I believe. My husband is now doing the hypocritical religious talk about how he is the lead, blah, blah, when he is not a good leader and has many issues I won't go into here, but really misrepresenting the Bible and the truth of all the situations. My husband keeps forcing our child, 9, to interact with this uncle, even though my child can see I'm uncomfortable and is also uncomfortable himself. It's gotten to the point where my husband and I had a blow-up argument because said brother wanted to apologize for his past wrongs, but I was being so evil by ignoring him. The second date came to a head where I told his brother that I had no idea he was even coming and that my husband just brought him down without my knowledge or approval and is now basically forcing me to be around a man that I don't really like. We have nothing in common, I find him strange, and he has done very questionable things. Since that fight, I have left the house.
Oh, wow.
I did bring my son to the house to put him to bed today, but my husband wanted this brother to come into our child's room and read to him. Like, sit on his bed and what? Play a happy family? That pushed me over the edge again, so I said goodnight to my son and left the house with my final comment at the brother, enjoy my family. I just don't understand how I'm being the a-hole in this situation. My husband claims this is the only family he has left and can offer our son. This is factually false because he actually has a full-blood sibling and 3 other half-siblings on his dad's side, but he's burned those bridges in the past. Basically, these 2 men are acting like me being unhappy, uncomfortable, and cold towards them is the problem, and not the fact that my husband brought a man into our house who I still find sketchy, and who is now causing marital issues, and doesn't catch the hint since he is a grifter, and this is where he is trying to be for now. So, am I the a-hole? Comment 1, why did you leave your son? Who cares if the blood test reveals this man is in fact her husband's brother? He's creepy as heck and crossed so many lines. Her husband is such a trusting moron.
Yeah.
After everything the so-called brother has done, husband is just letting him have total access to his life as well as his home. Husband has crossed more boundaries, all without his wife's knowledge. Inviting the stranger to stay with them, paying for his airfare, and giving him a job at their business. He's even turned against his own wife. OP needs to leave her husband and punt them both out of the house and get a lawyer who's a shark and take everything from her husband. There's no way I would put up with any of this crap, especially with having a child in the house. Husband has lost his mind, literally. Maybe him and the brother can become grifters together and disappear. Commenter 2, not the a-hole. It's not the brother that is causing marital problems. Sounds like your marriage is rocky since your husband never consults with you on anything or values your opinion. What are you, the maid? There are so many issues, I don't know where to start. Most importantly, it's not appropriate to bring a strange guy into the house when you have children, a 9-year-old, certainly not into his bedroom. Have a serious talk with your husband. If nothing changes, leave with the kids. Don't leave your son there. We have an update.
Oh my gosh.
I agree with those commenters,
I
though.
100% agree. Yeah, this man is not to be trusted. I think you need to follow your instinct, especially if your kid also feels sketchy around them.
Right.
Like, nothing that you've heard about his backstory seems reliable.
I can't imagine being 9 and like actively being like, Mom, this man is uncomfortable, and then he comes in to read me bedtime
Yes.
stories.
Yeah, because my dad said, like, my dad isn't gonna stop this creepy man from
Right.
being around me. Like,
Dad's encouraging it.
exactly.
Weird.
I really hope this update is just like, oh yeah, he apparently is a total stranger, and my husband
God.
just escaped with him, and they fell in love, and I never have to see them again.
As your update and more info. My son had been with me all afternoon since school that day, doing his activities. I took him home with the intention of sleeping in the spare room next to his. But things escalated as stated in the original post. He feels comfortable in his own room and bed, and at that point, I wasn't trying to cause too much stress to his normal routines. He also very much loves his father as well. The house is set up so that my child sleeps on the top floor, and there is one spare room up there. My normal master bedroom is on the main floor, right next to the stairs. The brother was put to sleep down in the basement. There are cameras I have placed for my own comfort within the house that cover anyone going up or down the stairs, and they directly link to my phone. I get motion activated alerts and they are always recording. I monitored the cameras and pretty much didn't sleep. I was also at the house early in the morning to get my child ready for school like normal, trying not to break his routine. I also waited for him to arrive home from the bus later. Since this morning, my husband has still been a problem. But I did finally confront the brother. He offered hair for me to test, so that's a start. We did sit and speak without my husband present, and now he understands where I was and where I'm coming from. I still find him an odd person, but he was understanding of my concerns and the fact that I'm not a confrontational person, but have been put into a very uncomfortable spot. By the way, you know it's never uncomfortable. If you go and listen to full episodes with stories just like this, just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, search up OK Storytime. Got a little bit more, but I can
Oh
feel
my
it.
gosh. I don't know. I feel like since there's more to this story and the fact that OP this whole time has been putting brother in quotations,
Yeah.
I feel like we're gonna get exactly what we've been thinking this whole time.
I don't think it's gonna be brother.
I think that little piece of hair that he gave is not gonna prove that they're family.
I'm very introverted, so my home is my safe place. I left details out in the original because I've never posted anything like this before and also didn't want to provide directly identifying info. That's my update for now. No. Hopefully that answers some questions and eliminates some negative ones about me just abandoning my child. It might not have been the best for everyone, but I am trying not to upset him, and I have still been with him at all times when he is awake and monitoring when he sleeps. Thanks for the info and comments, and that's the end of that.
No! Oh, gosh.
Maybe this was posted really recently, but like,
Yeah.
ah!
That's so... I don't like it. I don't like it.
My sister-in-law banned me from their house, then my brother caught her cheating.
Oh, no.
My 29 brother and I are really close. We had some trauma from our mom during our childhood, and we've just grown closer because of it. Our dad lives within 30 minutes of both of us, but we live only 4 minutes from each other. By the way, this comes from Big Yak 5700, and if you want us to make your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Dakota.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers, really know what we would do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, when I was 21, I found out I couldn't have kids. It was difficult for me to hear, but I managed to get over it. I have a few mental health conditions that mean I'm not able to work. Luckily, I'm the one in the family with all the health problems because my brother met his wife when they were 17.
What is that? That's not lucky. Luckily, I have all the health problems. My brother met his girl at 17.
But luckily, I have the health problems. They were married by 21 and now have 2 wonderful children, both of whom I absolutely adore. When they were born, I was the first person to meet them. Since we don't have a mom, I was my brother's mom figure growing up, so I think he kind of looks at me like a mom and sister. I don't have a problem with that at all. It's just the way we've always managed. When they were born, he called me and I met them at the hospital and was there for his wife whenever she needed. The 2 kids are wonderful, and I love them so much. Being as I couldn't have my own kids, it was nice to see what they might have looked like. As I lived so close and was pretty much always free, I always babysat. My brother and his wife loved that, and I also loved it. I'm always around their house. I've noticed that in the past few months, I've been there almost all day, every day. I don't mind that at all. But sometimes I worry that I might be overtaking their life a little. I had a chat with both of them and told them that at any point they wanted me gone, they just needed to say so. I didn't want to overstay my welcome. They both told me not to be silly and said they wouldn't care if I camped in their kitchen.
Wow. All right. I'm getting my thermos. I'm getting some
You
sterno.
setting up a tent.
I'm building
in
a
the
big
kitchen.
2-story tent, building a campfire. Don't tell me to camp in the kitchen.
Because he will.
A few weeks went by since that chat, and in the last week or two, she has been a bit off with me. It started with a conversation about a funny moment in our childhood. My brother and I were laughing so hard, and his wife just stood staring at me before rolling her eyes. I asked if she was okay, and she said she was sick of being part of a conversation that didn't concern her. She said she couldn't relate to it, so it wasn't fair that we kept doing it. I apologized and said I thought it would just be funny for her to hear, but I'd be more mindful in the future.
Nah, don't be more mindful. That's whack.
That is crazy.
That is whack behavior.
And also, like, as a wife, are you not, like, kind of interested about your partner's childhood a little bit?
Yeah, exactly. She's
Like, I love hearing about my partner's childhood.
but it's so unrelatable to you, Carly. You weren't there.
So true.
So you shouldn't care. You should actually be
But,
really
like,
upset.
That's the whole point. Is like I wasn't there, so I want to know. Maybe,
Nope.
maybe I'm just too curious, guys. Sue me.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was another moment when I came around and brought their kids some chocolate buttons. Since my brother's wife was at work, I asked my brother if it was okay for them to have them. He said it was fine. Then his wife came home 10 to 15 minutes later and went ballistic at me for feeding them sugar. She told me that in the future I needed to call both of them, my brother and his wife, if I wanted to come around, not just him. I apologized and left. There have been loads of moments like this, but the most recent and aggravating one was yesterday. I had been Christmas shopping at a nearby outlet and brought some fresh cookies for all 4 of them. I got myself a box, and I normally do this when I go there.
If that happens to you and like your brother's wife is like, you need to call both of us before you come over here, I'd be like, all right, sick. I'm not coming over ever anymore. I'm not saying that, but I'm thinking it. And I'm calling my brother and being like, hey, just so you know, your wife has made me feel extremely unwelcome in your home, and I don't feel comfortable coming over anymore. So you might want to talk to her about that.
Yeah, that's weird. I stopped at the gas station to call them both. My brother said it was fine, and the kids were excited to see me. I called his wife, no answer. Called again, no answer. I messaged her, and she read it, but didn't reply.
Yeah, so at this point, you just go, because you can't do that. You can't demand someone talk to you and then ignore them when they try.
Yeah. I decided to just stop by, not go inside, just drop the cookies at the door so as not to aggravate anything. These cookies were fresh and warm, and I didn't want to bring them home because they wouldn't taste as good later. I knocked, handed the cookies to my brother, gave the kids a quick hug, and left. About an hour later, I got a message from his wife saying, "How effing dare you come to my house when I've made it very clear you're not welcome unless I've said so. It's effing weird how you constantly come around to talk to my husband, sitting there giving him the eye while you're talking. He's married, and those are my effing kids that you're constantly playing with. Mine. This is the last straw, and I'd like if you just stayed away from us now. We don't want to see you at Christmas."
Hey, dum-dum, I'm his sister. Hey, dum-dum, I'm his sister.
You think that she's giving eyes to her brother?
Oh, no. Oh, I like my brother because he's my brother.
no.
But you think I want to steal your
You
husband?
think I want to marry my brother?
What is wrong? Oh, no.
I didn't really know what to do. So I just messaged my brother and told him to have a chat with her because there must have been a misunderstanding somewhere. I told him I'd like to clear it up because he's my brother, and those are my niece and nephew, who I love very much and don't want to never see again. Since then, I've been bombarded with calls and messages from her and her friends saying that I'm going to cause a divorce, that I'm wrecking their marriage, and that I shouldn't have got my brother involved. Commenter 1, I am the older sister of 2 brothers. If any woman they were dating treated me like that, they'd immediately tell her to step outside, shut the door in her face, and then we'd go eat the cookies. Commenter 2, not the a-hole. If I was your brother, I would want to know if my wife was accusing my sister of having genetic copy-pasting type feelings. Because who else is she spreading this to? Take away all that, and she's controlling which of his family members are allowed in his own house. Either way you chop it, slice it, she's out of line. And we have an update. What do you think?
I agree with all that.
Yeah.
And she is out of line. And it's crazy that, I'm sure she's going all ballistic with brother as well. And being like, I can't believe that you just say the truth. And brother's just like, I just want to have a normal life, please.
I just wanted the cookies.
I just want to have a wife and my children.
I just wanted the fresh baked cookies.
And I want my sister to be able to give me cookies, please.
Update. I thought I'd give an update to clear some things up. Some people were questioning why I was there all day, every day, and that could have been the problem because I was invading their life. First of all, in our family, growing up, we would visit nearby family, only one set of grandparents, daily for an hour. That's what this started as. When my brother and his girlfriend first met, it was like this, as I'd already moved away. They used to visit me for an hour each day, and I'd get some bits to eat and some drinks. Sometimes when my brother was on work trips, she would come around on her own and we'd have a girls' night. When my niece and nephew were born, I stopped going around, only once a week, because I thought that 2 newborns were already a lot. But they called me after a couple weeks asking where I was, saying they missed me, and my sister-in-law was messaging me, sending pictures of the kids, and telling me they missed me. So I started going around for an hour each day again. Over the last year, every time I'd go to leave, one of them, sister-in-law included, would say, "What? No, stay for dinner," or, "Aw, how could you leave this face," while holding up a kid. So I'd end up staying. I was there all day, every day because of them, not for me. I didn't have a problem with it, since I don't do much at home anyway, but still, I'd like to go home and relax. It didn't matter though, because I love my niece and nephew a lot. I sent my brother the screenshot of the text and told him that he needed to talk to her. Now I feel awful because I feel like I'm responsible for the outcome of this. They had a chat, and apparently when the kids were younger and I was there a lot, they built an attachment to me that's stronger than with her. She wasn't bothered by it because she was cheating on my brother with a work colleague.
Excuse me, hello, hi, you're the worst, and I don't like you.
And by the way, I'd really like it if you went and listened to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, whatever your favorite podcast app is, and search up OK Storytime. We have a little bit left, but what a turn at the end of the story.
Oh my goodness. She's a stinky little lady, so...
Just a stinky little lady who hates cookies.
She probably became a much stinkier little lady after she started cheating on her husband.
Wow.
And she became very stinky.
Stinky.
You cannot contain the stink.
No, the stench radiates. But now he's moved away, and she no longer has the side piece to help her ignore that. She's been trying to ignore the fact that the kids like me better, but apparently last week at bedtime, her kids asked where I was and said they missed me when I read stories, and it just made her flip. My brother told her she'd have to deal with the fact that I'm in their life and that I'm his sister, but he's also not sure if he wants to stay with her at all after finding out she was cheating.
Unbelievable wrinkle after, like, she cheated on him and is now looking at his own sister as a potential threat to their...
Right.
It's like, girl, you are the danger. You are the threat.
You made the whole threat. I'm obviously staying away for a while now so they can sort it out, but I think my brother is leaning towards a divorce, and now I just feel awful, and that is the end of that story.
My brother got scammed by his ex, but I refused to help him.
Oh no!
I, 37 female, have an older brother, Georg, 45 male, as his name's George, who isn't an idiot, but can be lazy. He's definitely the type to rely on weaponized incompetence whenever women and girls are around. Who is this guy? By the way, this comes from user glitteringdisc5929, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Angie.
I'm Keon.
But we don't know everything. Not all the time. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes you do. Let us know what you know in the comments. As OP says, here's an example of George's weaponized incompetence. He literally acted like he didn't know where our mom kept the paper plates in the house he had lived in for nearly 20 years, just so she would get up and go into the kitchen to make him his plate during the holidays, 1 week after her bunion surgery. Side note, they both tried to passive-aggressively make me feel guilty for not offering to fix my adult brother's plate so our mom wouldn't have to. Like I wasn't the only one doing most of the cooking and would also be doing most of the cleaning afterwards. At age 30, George was given a windfall from our grandfather's estate. I got something too, and used it as a down payment for a nice 5-bedroom house, which is now easily worth double. During this time, he met Melinda, 50 female, Melinda Gates, a nice lady. She was smart, responsible, hardworking, sweet, and very organized. She came into the relationship with a steady job and was upfront about her inability to have more children after complications from nearly losing her life giving birth to her daughter. George stated that he was okay with that, but whenever Melinda would bring up his hesitation regarding marriage, he'd say he had complicated feelings about not being able to be a father if he fully committed to her and that he needed to process it. He said that since he was willing to overlook her fertility issues because he loved her, she needed to show her love by waiting for him. That line worked for 12 years. After Melinda moved in, George demanded that she pay half the bills and part of his mortgage in exchange for allowing her daughter to move in with her. At the time, Melinda had few options as her former landlord was raising the rent too high, and she was helping pay her sister's medical bills. Melinda and George justified to everyone that what she would have paid to George was still cheaper than rent at her old place. I said nothing because it wasn't my relationship. 2 years ago, George was caught cheating, and Melinda was furious and then left. I don't know all the details, but she came back, seeming to work things out. He didn't stop cheating, but Melinda shrugged and said this was still a better deal, and as long as he kept it from the house, she could cope. Recently, there was some type of damage to George's house, yes, and he needed people to come in and fix it. But he hated the labor of searching for a reliable contractor, taking time away from his job and hobbies to deal with them and the paperwork. Melinda offered to do it, and he didn't question it. Whatever she gave, he signed in front of 3 third-party witnesses. Melinda got George to sign paperwork stating she was entitled to 45% of his house. Now she's dumped him and is demanding that George either sell the house or buy her out. George is trying to fight this, citing that he didn't fully understand what he was agreeing to, and has found a lawyer willing to take his case, but his fees are expensive. George and our mom think I should help, but I'm refusing. I don't see why I have to shell out thousands to save another grown man from his own lack of foresight, especially when there's a good chance he won't even win. I'm being called heartless and a bad sister, so I have to ask, am I the a-hole? No, everyone else in your family sucks.
Yeah. No, it's you know who sucks the most? George.
And then also your mom, who's like acting like he's like a little wounded dove.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you don't understand. Your brother is just such a slack-jawed idiot that he signed over half of his house to his wife that he cheats on relentlessly and habitually.
Anyone know doves that sound like that? Raise your hand.
Also, I don't think it's illegal. I think there's witnesses. He signed it.
Yeah. I feel like he'll be screwed.
You signed a contract and you didn't read it. You shouldn't have signed it.
Yeah, that's kind of
You see how your name is there on the legally binding contract you signed? And then it just becomes he said, she said. It's like, well, she didn't tell me that was the contract. It's like, okay, but she says that she did. And that you just didn't read it and signed it.
Yeah.
Comments, Witty D says, not the a-hole. George had it coming. Stringing that woman along for years, manipulating her by making her feel guilty over not being able to have more children, having her pay half the mortgage for his house, and then cheating on her. He made the bed, let him lay in it. Donate Crypto for Pets says, Bros help is where the paper plates always were. Live pressure. 5432 says, not the a-hole. Your brother is a cheater and a fool. Was Melinda a bit underhanded? Arguably, yeah. Does she deserve a share of the house in return for all she paid into it? Not to mention 12 years of domestic and emotional labor? Arguably, also, yeah. But when it comes to whatever you should shell out for your brother's legal fees, the answer is an unequivocal no. He was a huge a-hole and ridiculously careless with his most significant asset. That's not your responsibility to fix. He's an adult. He needs to fix his own mistake. Well, we've got a recap. Quick recap.
Brother and mother are trying to guilt me into giving my brother money to pay for an attorney in order to prevent his former long-term live-in girlfriend from getting a payout after he claims she tricked him into signing documents making her a partial owner of his house. Okay, there's been an update. And I have to say that while I still don't think my brother is an idiot overall, he is a lazy and very arrogant booty man.
Whoa. Hold on.
He's a booty man.
No, there's nothing wrong with
He's
that.
a booty man.
Nothing wrong
Keon's
with
an-
the
He's a dumb butt booty
Keon's
man.
insulted on behalf of all booty men.
You're-
Keon is insulted at how dare you use booty man's name in vain.
Yeah, whoa, booty man sounds fine. Dumb butt. Now that's mean. Like, that's true.
Booty man. All right. I also wanted to clarify a few things. Melinda and my brother were in a relationship for 12 years, but only started living together for about 9 or 10 years. Also, the documents were signed in the presence of a notary who asked my brother if he understood the context of the documents, and he affirmed that he did. And the person who said my brother was house poor, you hit the nail on the hammer. I hate that. He spent the majority of his inheritance and savings on buying that house, and it barely had any furniture. When Melinda moved in, she paid to have it furnished, on top of splitting the utilities and paying rent. Now, on to the new stuff. When George's house needed fixing, he let Melinda do the grunt work of finding reputable establishments because he didn't want to be bothered. Melinda presented him with up to 3 options and convinced him to go with Company A because they were offering seasonal discounts for first-time customers and or new owners for specific items. Melinda's plan was to present it as if she recently became the partial owner and had George email Company A to see if they would accept that. Company A responded that if Melinda recently became part owner of the house, they'd be willing to give a partial discount as a courtesy. Company A was a small business with an excellent reputation in terms of service, quality of work, and meeting deadlines, so my brother was all in. What he didn't realize was that Company A went by the honor system in this case, but their website required proper documentation. Melinda told George she'd come up with fake documents that he could sign in front of a notary she knew through a friend who was supposed to be in on the scam. The notary and witness were actually present, making the documents valid. And by the way, it's valid that you can listen to full episodes of stories just like this on your favorite podcast platform. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, just search OK Storytime. And you can listen until the end of time.
In the land of time.
Or in the new ice age.
With
I
the
don't know.
land before time.
With all of the Spinosauri.
Spinosaur.
That's still so funny to me that you're like, that's a made-up dinosaur. You're like,
I hate it.
Yeah, these stupid
I-
writers
okay.
just like, hey, we gotta make a dinosaur with a big spine, call him Spinosaur.
That's honestly exactly what it seemed like, and I hated it. And I still, even it being real makes me a little bit less mad, but still mad.
I heard there was really last thing about this Jurassic Park movie before we get back to the story.
Yeah.
There's one thing that I haven't seen it, but I heard there was one scene where they like basically make an entire T-Rex disappear in the blink of an eye, like without any noise, and everyone was like, "What?
Like,
Why
wait,
did you do that?"
I don't
Remember
know,
how you
actually.
made the first movie where it was like gung, gung, and
Right.
everyone loved that?
Yeah.
Now you make him so sneaky, he
He's
sounds
so
like
silent.
Ninja?
Yeah, he was
What?
pretty sneaky. I didn't really finish it, but there was a sneaky scene.
Sneaky man.
Sneaky man.
I don't know. I guess maybe scientists theorize that they are now maybe stealth predators.
I think that's what I heard.
They were
yeah.
ambush predators. But
Yeah.
anyway, we'll never know. Dinosaur. All right. Do we actually? Let's just keep going. Honestly, if your partner strings you along for 12 years and cheats on you habitually with no remorse, scam him out of his house that you paid half of. Yeah. She's like, I can still cope by taking his house out from under him. Boom. Basically, George thought he and Melinda were scamming Company A, when in reality, Melinda was scamming him. He thought the documents he was signing were fake, but they were real, and that's why he had trouble finding a lawyer. Wouldn't blame anyone who thought this was fake because of how wild it is. So anyway, I'm not giving him the money, but I will give him a list of realtors. There are some comments. Clean Permit 3791 says, so his defense is, quote,
I thought we were scamming another company, but really she was scamming me, Your Honor.
Yeah. I think it's best to stay out of this one. OP said, I almost peed myself when I laughed. Lantana, 98. Are you taking your brother's word for how the legal paper situation came about, or have you talked to his ex? I'll bet their explanations are not even similar. Fiesta Fan 73 says, it sounds like your brother's having the day he deserves, still not the a-hole. And that is the end of that story, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow, good old George. My brother hacked me, and my parents sided with him.
He's hacking into the mainframe.
I'm in my second year of undergrad at a state university in California, and I'm having an issue with my brother who is in his late 20s and a computer engineer. This is relevant to my issue. As a side note, I know very little about computers other than basic Googling skills. By the way, this comes from Difficult Path, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. And I'm Angie.
I'm Carly.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We just know what we would do in this situation, but let us know what you would do in the comments. So, OP says, my brother is a very type A person, very perfectionist and hardworking, often to the detriment of himself and others. He is a nice and positive person and is successful in the traditional sense, but he is very controlling and has a bit of an overblown ego. I'm a much more relaxed person, and the two of us share very little in the way of interests or guiding philosophies. I'm a visual arts major who likes to draw, and he's the type of person who watched Fight Club and thought that Tyler Durden was onto something. We get along, but have hostilities. My brother resents the fact that I am not like him, and that I don't look up to him as a role model. He is very fond of mocking my interests, hobbies, and career plans, and he often talks literally about a, quote, plan for me, in which I change my major to engineering and start taking his advice. When he brings this up now over the phone, I stop talking to him for however many days or weeks until he apologizes, and then we do it all over again. 2 weeks ago, my brother made a joke referencing a piece of digital art that I drew on my laptop. I didn't think anything of it until I realized after the phone call ended that I never posted that piece of art anywhere, not even to any cloud service. It had only been available on my physical laptop. I was nervous and downloaded malware bytes, but I didn't find anything. Thinking back, I also recalled my brother making a joke about something that I said to a friend privately on my Discord, which also was not publicly available. Checking Gmail and a few other websites I'm on that showed options, I've discovered someone had been logging into my accounts from an unfamiliar computer and had been doing so for about a week. I called my brother about this, and he laughed and told me that he had remote access to my computer and that he'd been checking up on everything that I was doing from this point on. I told him that that was ridiculous, and he basically laughed and said that people today have no reasonable expectation of privacy anyway. Without going into detail, I've basically discovered that my brother literally has access to everything in my life. My bank accounts, school account, my art and chat accounts, all the files on my computer. He has even referenced information that leads me to think that there is a very good chance of him having a camera or microphone in my room. He has been in my apartment in the last month, and the only reason that I think he might not is because I haven't been able to find it. There is nothing on my computer or cloud files or anything I'm even remotely embarrassed about. But the idea that my brother has all my information is terrible, and I want him to stop. I don't feel comfortable in my apartment or using my computer or personal accounts anymore. I'm writing this from my school's library. Is there a way to clearly show him that this is wrong with an amount of force and guarantee of my privacy in the future without getting him in serious trouble? My brother is an idiot, and I am pissed at him for this, especially in the way that he acts like a joke or that he's doing it to mentor me, which he keeps saying. Like, he has called me knowing my class schedule, which I never told him, and reminded me to go to classes, etc. But I don't think his life should be ruined over this, even if he is an a-hole. He has also joked about dropping my classes, which I got really pissed about, and he assured me that it was a joke, but I still feel uncomfortable that he'd even hint at that. Thanks. And we do have an update. Without going into a lot of detail, based on some of the stuff that I read on here in a conversation with a friend, I realized that the way that I viewed the relationship with my brother was incredibly messed up, and I decided to act more seriously about this. I was thinking about how to proceed last night while cleaning, and then I actually found a camera. I know I said I thought there was one before, but I don't think that I really consciously did. I have gone to the police station and for now have an injunction against my brother. Whoa! I also reported the computer hacking along with texts and a phone message he sent where he both alludes to and directly confirms it. So, I don't know what will happen, but I feel a lot better having taken this step. I appreciate the comments that people sent. It helped a lot. Thanks. And we do have a second update from a week later. Without exaggeration, this was probably the worst day of my life.
Aw.
After getting served the injunction or temporary restraining order thing, my brother, 1, told my parents, and 2, chose to immediately violate it. He left me several messages that were essentially low-key threatening to ruin my life, and I was scared, so I reported it. He was taken to jail, and to my current understanding is going to get a type of misdemeanor charge for it if he already hasn't. I mean, yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Like, the only thing that I think that maybe you could have done differently is just, like, tell him ahead of time. Like, hey, I'm gonna do this if you...
But
like,
I feel like she kind of already had been like, stop it or there'll be consequences.
Yeah, totally. So it's like, it probably wouldn't have helped either way. And I mean, if all of the pictures and stuff are digital, then, like,
Right.
he probably would have found a way to delete them, all the evidence, you know? So I guess maybe
Yeah.
that wouldn't have even been a good idea.
You probably knew you were gonna go to the police anyway. You
But-
probably Googled it. You probably
yeah,
saw it.
right? Yeah.
Weirdo.
Oh my gosh.
Having a camera in a place where it's Opie's female, right?
Yeah.
So she's changing in front of that
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah.
She's like,
That's what I'm thinking.
like, I know that you said there was nothing bad on the device that he hacked.
Yeah.
What if there was?
Yeah.
Like, he went into it not knowing what he was gonna find, and then set up a camera.
Literally.
So has for sure seen something at this point.
Yes, it's like what that is so much further. I mean, all of it's
Ugh,
insane.
it's disgusting.
It's disgusting. Like, you're first of all my brother.
Yeah.
Second of all, just another human. It's like, okay, I could if there were like small things. Like, okay, oh ha ha ha, like I saw that you're doing this. I'm gonna make a little joke about it, but I'm gonna leave it alone. Like, I could make a joke to just show you that I could. Like, I could see my brother doing that.
For sure. Make the
And-
joke, haha, I hacked in.
And
but
then be done.
leave.
Yeah, and then he'd be like, yeah, no, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna do that.
And then
I
maybe
just thought
like,
it'd be
I don't know,
funny.
show me how to remove how you did that from my computer.
Yeah,
like a
right?
good brother.
Yeah, but then the fact that he continues to do that for everything and then sets up a camera is such
He's a little
another
creep.
level. So
Your
creepy.
brother's a little creep.
So creepy. Like, it's not your fault that he's in jail.
No,
It's fully his.
He needed this.
Oh, I don't know if he's in jail right now. Okay. I knew my parents were going to take his side, but they have effectively disowned me for this.
Boo-hoo.
My parents are very religious, conservative Catholics. I'm not religious anymore, but they don't know that. And they were very upset by me reporting it. That's an understatement. I have enough scholarships where I will be able to continue paying for my living expenses in school with my part-time job, but the way that they treated me was horrible. They are very upset because this will probably screw up his career according to the talks we've had. They said I'm disgusting and not welcome home. My dad sent me a video of him and my mom burning most of the
Oh.
belongings that I left at their house. Oh my gosh. Not much important to me, but still. They don't believe me about the camera, and my dad said that he specifically didn't care even if it was there. Just screaming the entire time. I stopped answering my phone and checking my email because it terrifies me. I bought a new cheap computer because even though someone helped me wipe it clean, I'm honestly too scared of using the old one at this point. I haven't left my room in a week. The worst of it is over, I think, but I feel like I fell in a pit. I can't stop crying, and we have a third update from a month later now. Hi, still in California. I'm having some new problems since my last update, and I'm unsure how to handle them. I'd like to say things have been good, but they haven't. No. I had to stop school this semester because I've become extremely depressed and can't handle the workload of both school and work, plus some personal things that I'm focused on related to my spicy orientation. I'm planning on going back next semester. I really can't focus on anything past work, and my life feels very empty right now. I need to leave the house more, haha, and talk to someone who isn't a customer. My brother is still in police custody a month later, wow, and still in the process of getting convicted, which apparently takes much longer than I thought. My parents and a few random people their age who I think they've recruited for this have been continually pestering me through various electronic means and random phone numbers. They do the star 67 or something.
Change your phone number.
Yeah, honestly, and spreading false rumors about me. I was too depressed to deal with it properly with another restraining order or other thing, so it's just been easier to ignore. My main problem at the moment is that I'm trying to get a new job, but I can't because of my social security number. When I broke off with my parents and this happened, I had some of my important documents with me, but not the ones that college students don't use on a daily basis, like my passport, social security number, birth certificate. I'm embarrassed, but I don't have it memorized. The last time I needed it, my parents sent me a picture before all this happened, but I no longer have that in my text. I called my parents to send them to me and tried to make it sound like I'd call the police if they didn't, and my father implied that he either burned them or would never give them to me. He didn't visibly burn them in the video he sent, but I don't know if that was everything. I have trouble talking to him right now, and I couldn't maintain it. I tried calling his parish leader, who I know, and he told me that he'd talked to my parents about not giving me the info or pestering me, but it hasn't done anything if he did. Surprise, surprise. The only documents I have to prove ID are my permit and my school ID, which is useless in this scenario. I need more documents if I want to get a new social security card. I'm also scared of my parents having this information because I think they might try to mess with my life. I'm afraid that if I call the police, my dad will just claim that he never had it and burn it or hide it forever, and then I'm screwed without any way to fully prove my current identity to get new documents. Also, I want to change my name, and I'd appreciate it if anyone knows the best way to go about doing that, or if it would be too much of a pain right now. Not that big of a deal, and honestly, I'm still lazy, but it would make me feel better if it's not a big thing. The people here have been very helpful to me at a point in my life when I don't really have anyone to talk to or give me advice regarding these types of legal issues. And we do have a 4th update from 3 months later.
Let's hear it.
Let's do it. I just want to make this post because I think it's good to make a point about how the world actually works, and I don't like leaving things under false impressions that everything ended up being okay. The last 5 months of 2018 were the worst months of my life. Okay, wow, 2018. Because of everything that happened with my brother and me being disowned by my family, my family's friends, and many other people who I thought that I knew and respected. I ended up getting my documents back without too much trouble, but after that, everything has been a loss.
Oh.
My brother was not really punished in any substantive way. My parents have endeavored to protect him, and he basically got something on the level of probation, no jail time. He was fired, but has been hired again with a much better job with a small private company because, I'm told, of a connection with a colleague. He, or my parents, but I think him for various reasons, had various people call me up from unlisted numbers with vaguely threatening messages, calling me a witch, or just breathing on the phone until I had to get a new phone number. Oh my gosh, that's so creepy. Just breathing on the phone?
Freaky.
Ew. Rumors have been spread about me to the point where I don't even feel comfortable talking to nice people that I knew because I'm afraid that they'll judge me based on things that they've seen that aren't true. I am still not going to be able to go back to college this semester because of personal and financial reasons, and I basically have lost all my friends due to either personal insecurity, severe depression, or the rumors. I don't leave my house outside of work, and I'm not taking care of myself in the way that I should. I'm very grossly thin and pale. I'm working on getting better though, and I've been having very terrible dreams about going to heck and burning alive forever, which are driving me crazy. Oh my gosh, this is terrible. I'm not going to do anything dramatic, but mentally I am not where I need to be. I'm not trying to make this a pity party, and I acknowledge that I'm a big part of the reason this happened, in the sense that I'm not handling it in the most productive way, and I'm not asking for help. I have a crappy job that allows me to stay alive fine, just having trouble getting to school, which I think I'll be able to start again this summer, but I want to emphasize how messed up the whole system is. This is the second time in my life that I've been put in this position, and my first time as an adult and someone trying to report it, and either way, I've been screwed, lied to, and watched the person who ruined my life get away and live happily ever after. Nobody cares about people who get violated, and I understand why they don't come out and report. It's all rigged. My brother, his girlfriend, and my parents are on an almost 2-week-long Hawaiian cruise right now, smiling and laughing, and I'm in my apartment still unable to sleep right because of all of this. Happy New Year, enjoy your cruise, haha, what a cool picture of the water slide. Again, thanks to this community at least. It was a big help in the early stages when I needed to get my thoughts together, and I really appreciated it. I hope everyone who was cool about it gets the type of life they deserve. Really, thank you. And we do have a 5th update from 4 months after that. Oh, boy. Boy, oh boy.
Wow.
Well, I'm glad that,
Oh, you got your documents.
Glad that you got the documents. Silver linings. Got the documents.
Silver linings. Got
Got
your
an
documents.
online community.
Yes. Maybe you can change your name like you want to now. You got a new phone number, so they can't call you anymore.
Yeah, like you need to go into like witness protection. Like
yeah, I'm
crazy.
like, yikes.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I know. I mean, obviously, you tried legal things and, it didn't punish him as much as you thought it would or wanted it to or something. But, I mean, I wonder if, like, with all this pesterment, you can file some sort of restraining order on him.
Right. I feel like you can go down harder with it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because
I'm so sorry that the school system sucks. So
dude, yeah, honestly. But we do have a 5th update. 4 months later, I moved to another state now. For the purposes of the final update, it doesn't matter. Things have settled for me as of 4 weeks ago, and I remembered a lot of people sending me messages and PMs, so I thought I would give a final update. Life isn't good in the sense that everything is perfect. I 100% absolutely do not believe in karma or that good things happen to people who do good and vice versa with evil people, but things ended up working that way in this scenario after all the crap. Okay. Long story short, 3 months ago, my brother was diagnosed with a terminal illness, and he passed away about 2 months later this April. That's crazy. Speechless. What? Oh my god. Oh my god. That is a crazy way
This
to
story
jump into
cannot
that.
be real.
This is insane. This is insane.
Girl.
I'm shocked. The way you
went into that.
Yeah. Starting it off with karma and being like, yeah, I don't believe in karma, but I guess it worked out this
good
way.
news.
He passed away from a terminal illness. Huh? What? Okay, continuing on. We don't have a family history with this, and I found out about it more than a month after his diagnosis. I did not see him after his passing, and whatever campaign he had to bug me with his buddies just stopped all of the sudden when he found out about it, so I guess he lost interest once he realized he didn't have much time. I didn't know many details because I am not involved, and I obviously didn't try to be, but he has passed away now. I'm glad. I felt bad about it for a day or two, and then just thought, no, really done with it. The universe threw me one freebie, and I'm going to appreciate it. I honestly feel freer and happy, and I hope he passed away in as much pain as could be expected. My life is good right now. The past 9 months have been some of the worst times of my life, but things have settled into almost niceness. Uni is postponed at the moment, and maybe forever, but I've found a good job that I like in a much cheaper state that I like more, and don't have to work a lot. I have plenty of free time now, and I'm having fun with it instead of sitting in misery. I started drawing again and reading incredibly depressing online superhero novels. I'm also pushing myself to make new friends and going to look into therapy soon, feeling alive again. I'm taking care of my health again, and I'm not under-eating anymore. Parents have reached out twice, and I ignored them. I'm planning to do it again and forever. I hope they rot, and I don't feel bad about it anymore. Sick of feeling guilty, sick of feeling sick. They're the messed up people, not me. And it would be messed up if you didn't listen to full episodes of stories just like this one. Go to Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or whatever favorite podcast app you have, and search OK Storytime. There is a little bit more to the story.
I don't really have any more thoughts.
Yeah. I'm like speechless.
Sure. I'm very happy that your life is going significantly better, though. And I
Yeah.
agree, keep your parents cut off.
Yeah.
We don't need to go back to any of that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
start your
You
new
don't need
life in
to.
your new state.
Exactly. There is a little bit more to the story. All I want to do now is hear about whenever they go and join my brother. Wow. I don't want to say my brother suddenly got cancer and passed away and that fixed everything and I'm happy now, because that isn't true, but he did pass away and I'm glad about it. And yes, it did make me feel happy, and I'm finding it much easier to be happy now. I wish I could say I didn't need luck to fix my problems, but whatever. Thanks to everyone who sent me messages and offered me types of help, even if I didn't take it. I had 4 one-time conversations with 4 people. That meant a lot to me. I hope only nice things happen to you guys. Thanks again. And that is the end of that story. Wow.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah,
Good for you, OP. Honestly,
Good for you.
finding your truth in it and for not feeling guilt about someone who was terrible to you.
Yeah, I mean, like, you really didn't do anything in the situation. Everyone was being so horrible to you.
Yeah.
My boyfriend's brother's ex asked him to run away, and he acts like it's nothing.
It is nothing because he's so fast.
Last October, my boyfriend, 22 male, and I, 22 female, made it official after a few months of talking. We went to a concert that week, and I met his older brother and his brother's girlfriend. They were awesome, funny, welcoming, and made me feel totally at home. By the way, this comes from Few Statement 2183. But OP says, the girlfriend and I even got really close, especially during a family trip to Florida this spring. We spent a lot of time together, and I genuinely thought she was my friend. After that trip, she kind of disappeared. The only time I'd hear about her was when my boyfriend gave her a ride home from the bar, which I didn't mind. Then around May or June, she suddenly quit her job, broke up with my boyfriend's brother, and decided to move to Colorado. Out of nowhere, she texted my boyfriend asking if he wanted to move to Colorado with her. He immediately sent me a screenshot without even opening it. She literally said, "Leave her and move with me." We both agreed it was super weird, and he told me he wouldn't respond. A few days later, he went to his grandparents' house, where his brother and the ex lived, and texted me that she was there packing her things. He said it was awkward and that they didn't talk. But about a week later, I saw messages between them. They were chatting casually about something random like a haircut appointment, even though he said they hadn't spoken. When I asked, he claimed she apologized when he saw her, which directly contradicted what he told me before. We argued, then brushed it off like we usually do. She eventually moved, and I blocked her because I was uncomfortable that she could still see my life after trying to get my boyfriend to leave me. Fast forward to this October. She's back. Back with his brother? Living at his grandparents' house again like nothing ever happened. We all went out for Halloween, and she completely ignored me, but still talked casually with my boyfriend. It wasn't a big deal at the bar, but I'm dreading Thanksgiving and Christmas, where we'll all be together. I've tried to talk to my boyfriend about how uncomfortable this makes me. I even asked him to just acknowledge how weird this is and maybe stand up for me a little. But he just rolled his eyes, rubbed his head, and said he had a headache. Aside from this, our relationship is genuinely great. We live together, we love each other, and we work well as a team. But he's very non-confrontational, and I'm not. I don't want to cause family drama, but I also don't want to feel disrespected or brushed off. What do you guys think? Update. I sent my boyfriend a text today. He works out of town during the week, and if you look in the comments on this original post, there are already 2 detailed updates. But here's the final organized version of what happened and how we resolved it.
Nice.
I expressed to him that I was really uncomfortable with how everyone involved, him, his brother, the family, wanted to act like nothing ever happened. That goes completely against how I handle conflict and relationships. We argued, and I had to call him out on a few things he was doing in the moment, putting down my feelings, trying to control the narrative, etc. I won't go into those details here, but yes, a lot of you would have called those red flags. I tried really hard to stay calm, keep my footing, and advocate for myself while still communicating clearly. After what felt like a breakup-level fight, I finally got some key context that he hadn't told me before. His whole family did know what the brother's ex said, but they dismissed it because she didn't mean like that. Apparently, she had also asked the rest of the family to move with her too. I can understand their angle, but she told him directly, "Leave her, I'll come with me," after he had already told her no. That's not harmless. The missing piece was Monday, when I brought all this up to him that day, and he just nodded and said his head hurt. He apparently messaged her the next day and told her I deserved an apology. It took a lot of digging and asking the right questions to figure out when and what was said, but here's the summarized version of his explanation. He told me she asked if I wanted to go to this tailgate thing, and I said, "Gee." Then I told her, "You would like an apology for what you said," and she asked, "For what?" And I told her. She said she understood. My response to him was that I appreciated him bringing it up, but he didn't set a very strong or clear stance, especially saying, "She" to her invite before even mentioning my feelings. That gave the impression he was interested, but the old lady's mad. I wasn't rude, but I was honest. Then I set a very clear and firm boundary. He's not hanging out with her without me until she acknowledges what she said. I'm not hanging out with her again until she acknowledges it either. Can we just not hang out with her at all?
Why is anyone hanging out with? This is like bringing like a rabid Doberman into your house and being like, well, who's gonna walk the dog next?
Yeah.
We're clearly keeping the dog around.
Why
would we get rid of it? It's a rabid Doberman.
It's a rabid Doberman.
No one should walk that dog.
It's like if instead in Old Yeller of putting down the dog,
Instead of doing
they just keep it around. And
They're
they're like,
just like,
"Oh, Old Yeller," and it keeps getting into hijinks and biting people.
He gives the whole family rabies, and they're like, "This was the best plan." I never liked water anyway.
I'm hydrophobic now.
I've always been afraid of water. That's why I stink.
If he chooses to go see her without me before that happens, that will be a much bigger issue with real consequences. He didn't disagree, didn't push back, and acknowledge the boundary. So that's where we left it. Not the dramatic ending many of you probably hoped for, but it's the resolution we landed on. If this boundary isn't respected, then I'll be taking a lot more of the advice you all gave and ending it before I fall further into a situation that I don't even believe should exist. Update 2. So I brought everything back up again today. A lot of the comments said it wasn't fully resolved, that I was waiting on the inevitable, or that something still felt off. And honestly, thank you. These comments made me think harder about what I actually needed to know and what I actually wanted from all of this. It wasn't resolved the first time, so yes, we talked again today. I was more direct, asked the right questions, and actually addressed what I needed from him. And this time, we got somewhere. We both agreed on how to move forward. These are some of the messages he sent that were exactly what I needed. I understand. I truly do. I'm sorry I didn't do anything sooner. Yeah, I get I should have done something and she was close, but not anymore. That's my brother's girlfriend, not my friend anymore. And you have my full support going forward. And then he continues, I think you let her do her thing. If she doesn't apologize and people question what's wrong, we tell them, but I don't know, I love you mucho. I think most people would argue it is weird his brother's girlfriend felt comfortable telling him to leave me and move out of state with her to work oil fields. Wait, what?
Whoa!
That's
Hold
an
on
added-
now.
She
Hold
wanted
on
to work
now.
oil fields?
She's a blue collar provider.
She texted him. She's like, hey, leave your girlfriend and we can frack. And he was like, did you need
Yeah.
to say F? And she's like, no.
No,
I
I'm
meant
working for
frack.
Dick Cheney. God rest his soul.
Oh, yeah, she's like, I meant fracking.
There's a new position open at Halliburton. I'm trying to be the CEO. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be the executive owner operator.
She's DTF.
I want to whisper in Bush's ear.
Yes.
She's
I would love
DTF.
to whisper in the ear of Bush.
Down
Oh,
to frack.
man.
She's down to frack, dude.
She's down to frack.
She's down to
DTF,
frack.
Down to frack. And most people would argue I shouldn't be comfortable with him having contact with her at all after that. But I'm willing to accept it and move on like everyone else if I get bare minimum acknowledgement that it was inappropriate and disrespectful from the person who disrespected me in the first place. Her. Because it was wrong. Thank you to everyone who encouraged me to ask the right questions and not just settle for confusion. If anything goes down at Thanksgiving, I'll update. But honestly, I doubt there will be drama now. I doubt that.
I doubt that as well.
I honestly don't think I'll get the acknowledgement I want from her. However, I'm happy with my partner. This was exactly what I needed. And I won't be diving into tons of comments. Thank you. I saved a neighbor from the fire, and this made my girlfriend upset.
Is your girlfriend an arsonist?
This weekend, I, 31 male, was staying over at my girlfriend's, 34 female, apartment. It is a single house split into 2 apartments. Around 8 a.m., I smelled bacon and went downstairs to see if she was cooking some. She had just bought a quarter pig from a local farmer. So I was really hoping this was some of the bacon. Sadly, it wasn't and must have been the adjoining apartment next door. By the way, this comes from Good Samaritan B-A-N-E. And OP says, about 11 a.m., we heard an alarm going off next door and didn't think much of it. The neighbor, a man in his 20s, is always around at odd hours and staying up late. So my girlfriend and I just thought it was him sleeping through his alarm clock. Shortly after, I got up to do some laundry and smelled smoke. I realized the alarm was not an alarm clock, but the smoke detector going off for the last 5 to 10 minutes.
I would have just realized that from the sweet smell of burning asbestos.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I think I would have been like, oh, something's burning. Oh, the beeping. You know what? I probably would have connected it sooner than you guys.
I love the smell of burning fiberglass insulation.
I immediately ran around the house to the side door leading to the other apartment to see if I could get in. Through the window, I could see smoke and also someone in the other room passed out on the couch.
Maybe this is
I
just
wonder
how
if
they
it's like
sleep, guys.
No, it wouldn't be like
Maybe
a
this
carbon
is how they
monoxide
sleep.
alarm because you smell smoke. So I tried banging on the door to wake the neighbor, but he didn't budge. I am a locksmith and had my picks on me.
Let's go. You always gotta have the picks on you.
Random superhero moment.
This guy is
Lockman.
This guy's a man of many hats.
But could not get it quickly. I ran to the front door and thankfully it was unlocked. I walked inside, ignored the neighbor on the couch, and followed the smoke. It turned out the bacon I had smelled at 8 a.m., along with a giant omelet, were both on the stove, burning 3 hours later. I turned off both burners, took care of the burnt food, and then went on to check on the neighbor. The neighbor was out, but otherwise okay. I let him be and went back to my girlfriend's apartment. The neighbor woke up 15 minutes later, and we could hear him moving around just fine. He never came over to say thank you. The messy part is that since I'm a locksmith, I know what I did could be considered breaking and entering or trespassing. Are you, stupid?
Nah, dude, you got qualified immunity.
Yeah.
You're a lockpicker.
And you have pics on you. You're fine.
I am pretty sure this would be covered by Good Samaritan laws, but I wanted to avoid it becoming a problem. It would be very hard to keep my job as a locksmith if I had either of those charges on my record. Why are you... What?
Dude.
Who are you?
First
Low-key,
of all-
I think he's done other things that could have got
Yeah.
him arrested, so that's why he's so afraid of the law.
This is strange. Later that day, I left my girlfriends and filed a police report to cover my butt just in case. Last night, I was at the brewery with my girlfriend, and she had planned to drive us back to her place where my vehicle was. I told her about filing the police report, and she immediately got visibly upset and left the brewery without me shortly after. I ended up having to take a cab home and went back to my vehicle at her place this morning. My girlfriend is now telling me we need to have a talk tonight and is otherwise giving me a cold shoulder. I can only assume she's upset that I filed the police report and the neighbor or landlord might get upset. Who are you people?
This is like a real, like
Who are you people?
You're the snitch and the criminal.
My question is how I can talk to her to help her understand that what I did was to protect myself and my livelihood. Also, if anyone can help me understand why she's so upset about this, I would appreciate it. And most people are just saying, why would she think that you're wrong?
Because you might go to jail now. I think she's more be like, why did you file a police report proactively, right?
Yeah,
Why would you do that?
I don't know.
You're like, man, I think I might have done something wrong. Let me turn myself into the police and maybe lose my life. Is this your livelihood? Are you a lockpick by trade?
All of this would have been solved if you had just woken him up and said, hey, your house was on fire. I put it out. Are you okay?
She's waking up real gentle.
Hey,
your house is on fire.
Wakey. Hi, I don't want to bother you, but your house is on fire.
Yeah.
Your house is on fire.
Someone
Guys,
asks, is this usual or unusual behavior for her? Opie says, this is a good question. Normally, she's steady as a rock. Lately, though, she has been less so. 2 weekends ago, she stormed out in the middle of our weekly friends game, cooking night. She came back later and apologized, but still, why did she... This guy doesn't ask questions.
No questions.
This guy doesn't ask anyone questions. He's just like, well, heck if I know.
He just takes action. He's a man of action. Unfortunately, they're usually the wrong actions.
Yeah. Update. Wow. So we just broke up? We talked to her about 15 minutes on the phone, and she accused me of not taking her feelings into account. For context, we started dating off and on last summer and finally became a couple at Thanksgiving. Here's the bombshell. We are scheduled to leave on an already paid-for vacation to the Caribbean for a week together in just over 2 weeks. We talked briefly on the phone and decided it would be best to give each other some time and not talk about it just yet. I would love some help and feedback. The relationship may not be repairable at this point, but I still think she's an amazing girl, and I want to see how much damage control I can do to prevent this from being worse for either of us than it needs to be. OP on the conversation with his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend. The conversation went like this. Her, you don't respect my feelings, and I'm done. At which point I talked to her for the remaining 14 and a half minutes about why she would get that impression and trying to explain that my actions weren't meant to be selfish.
Unnecessary.
There was a little back and forth during that time, but her argument felt to me like it had too many holes to be everything. Like many others said, I think she was just looking for a way out.
Cheating.
Morning after the update. After some social lubricant and talking to a lot of random people on here and at the brewery last night, I've come to a conclusion. Even if there was more going on, like many people have surmised, the relationship is over.
Smart.
There is no point in holding on to it and letting it get to me. Today is a new day. I'm going to make it a good one and not look back.
Wise.
Edit. I'm sitting with a close friend who told me since Thanksgiving he could tell things weren't the same.
Good.
This is the same person who said she made me a better person and was a big part of why I dated her. I feel like I was blind to what was really going on and didn't truly see this as either an excuse or the start that broke the camel's back kind of situation. And update 2, since we broke up, we haven't talked much, but agreed to discuss how to handle the Caribbean vacation tomorrow.
Oh.
That won't be happening.
Oh.
Tonight I get an email that she canceled my flight.
Oh.
I started digging and found out she's going on a vacation with her ex-fiance.
Oh.
You guys called it. There was more going on. I'm cutting all contact with her so I can have a clean break and move on to the next part of my life. By the way, anyone know a fun place to travel with my flight voucher from the canceled ticket? I'm in the U.S.
Hey.
That's the end of the story.
My mother used my brother to pressure me for money, so I went off.
That's a weird way to get money.
I, 17 female, even weirder to press your 17-year-old daughter for money, have been trying to save up money for when I move out in a month to share an apartment with my boyfriend. I'm going to go to university, and my dad's offered help, but I know when I'm not in control of my own money, knowing when or how I'm getting it, I get really anxious about spending because I used to have really bad spending habits. By the way, this comes from user fuzzycharacter4111, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Riley.
And we're here to give you good advice goofily.
Yup.
But we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do, so let us know what you would do down in the comments. And OP says, my little brother, 15 male, is autistic. It isn't a severe case where he's nonverbal or can't change or do anything for himself. At best, you'd think he's a little dorky. My mother has been known to not be the best about spending her money despite having government assistance, and my dad constantly giving her money to fix her other money mistakes that she made with his money.
Ooh.
I'm not fully sure what's going on with all that, and I think I'll get stressed if I ask my dad to explain it to me. All this is sort of just context for the situation. I'm also not mad at my brother as he stuck up for me before anyone else asks about that. Basically, my mom reached out to me while I was sleeping over at my boyfriend's and asked where I would be working. It was really out of the blue. She started asking how much money I'd be making and how often I'd be home once I moved out. I kind of caught on that she was asking for money. I tried to gently remind her that I'm saving up to pay rent in a little bit and starting to pay for my own things without an allowance. Then she asked if I could ask my dad to send me an allowance and just lie and say I'm not working.
Ooh, I think I see where her money habits are coming from.
This is giving me gambling problem vibes.
Yeah?
That's what it's giving me. Giving me the vibes of, yeah, ask your dad for an allowance and then lie and say you don't have a job so that you can give me the allowance. I flat out said no and laughed. She sort of huffed and said she struggles with buying presents for my little brother since his birthday was last week and the things that autistic people like are really expensive. I told her that was the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I said not everything revolves around his disability. I was trying to say he's his own person. He isn't a person with autism. He is Ryan, which is a fake name and not his real name, which is what I was going to say, but I thought she wouldn't really understand that since she zones out when I try to explain things for too long, so it came out weird.
That's where the gambling stuff comes in.
Yeah, she's like, I need the spinning wheels. I can't focus. Where's my slot machine? She hung up, and 5 minutes later, my brother called me and asked if I was mad at him. I said no and asked what was wrong because sometimes he just asks me that. So I wasn't fully assuming it was the phone call. He said my mother told him that I said he wasn't important enough to have my money.
Oh, she's weaponizing your brother.
Your mom sucks. What is your dad doing?
Oh my gosh.
Oh
Are they
my
still
God.
together?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He kept insisting he doesn't want my money and that he likes me being his sister without that. This made me furious, but not at him, of course. I explained what happened, and he said it was weird, and he's sorry, and he doesn't want present money from me. Yeah. Well, no, it's like, yeah, you explain and he goes, oh, no, that's weird. You don't have to buy my presents. Our mom is weird.
Dang.
And I second that, good sir. Your mother is a freak. We talked for a little bit, and it was fine. When we hung up, I called my mother back. She tried to go off at me again, but I yelled that it was horrible for her to say that to my little brother, and honestly, I just kept yelling. Anytime she tried to talk, I just yelled, which is what I feel bad about because then she got upset and called my dad. My dad called me to ask if I was okay, but I was still mad, so I told him she was asking me to lie to get extra money, and he's also mad at her now. She's been texting me saying her whole house is mad at her now and that she's sad she couldn't rely on me. She asked me to stay at my boyfriend's house for a couple nights because she wanted space, and my boyfriend said it's fine. I'm really conflicted now because I thought I was in the right for how I felt, but now seeing how much it affected her, I just feel like a huge a-hole. It's because your mother is manipulating you. She's probably been doing it for a long time and she's really good at it. My brother is telling me he still thinks it was weird and mean of her to try to get money out of me using the excuse of him being autistic. Me and my dad are very close, but he hates to argue with my mom, so we haven't really talked since my mom asked for space. I know my mom struggles with money and it makes her feel incompetent at times, as she's expressed to me. These reactions are making me doubt my behavior. I know I'm at least a bit of an a-hole for raising my voice, but yeah, am I the a-hole? And just to clarify, my parents are not divorced or split up, and they still live together.
Oh, man.
And we do have some comments here.
I think you need to develop some sort of neurodivergence so then you can defend your mom against your mom being like, well, Mom, I have worse autism. I can't give you money.
Yeah, I can't give you money. I'm buying all of these weighted blankets.
Yes.
I can't afford it. My weighted blanket budget is stretched to its absolute minimum.
You would understand.
Maximum.
Because I'm worse autistic.
Let's get into these comments. Ducky Glow says, not the a-hole. I don't see a problem in a parent asking their kid for money, but the manipulation and the lie to your brother was terrible. Also, she wanted you to lie to your father to give her the money. Why can't she ask him directly? OP says, I think she didn't want to ask him because she gave him several debts he had to pay off, and that was very stressful for him. And he sort of put restrictions on money she can borrow. Responsible Fly 1216 says, not the a-hole, your mom is the a-hole. If possible, go live with your dad. OP says, unfortunately, my parents still live together. I wish my little brother could live with my dad as well. They argue a lot, and my brother overall just hates living there, but obviously doesn't really have a choice. Malphus 43 says, what's the plan for your brother once he's an adult? Will your mom ever let him have any independence, or does she see him as disability money? OP says, I'm not sure. He's still a bit away from moving out. I'm assuming she'd want him to stay for a while, but he's expressed the idea to me of how much he'd love having his own space. And OP replies to a big comment. Thank you so much. Also, yes, he gave her a spending limit because she had given my dad debts. I don't know how to explain, but basically she spent his money into oblivion. He would give her $2,500 to $5,000 monthly for extra spending money on things for my brother, but her extra spending money is now $300, and he just personally gets things for my brother if he needs them. I think I'll ask my dad to meet up and talk about the things she said to my brother, along with my concerns for other things. I think that addresses most questions and advice in this comment, and my brother will be getting that fist bump. Heck yeah, dude. Sibling fist bumps? Let's go.
You'd never know.
Oh, no?
You'd never know what that's like.
Oh. OP, does your mother have a history of substance use disorder? But absolutely not the a-hole regardless. She is way out of line. OP responds.
Here we go.
She had been in rehab once before my brother was born, but when my father told me this, he said it wasn't for very long. Another reply to a comment is, my mother was working and then quit. I do not know why, but it does not sound like she was let go. So then my dad was the main income person, eventually got a promotion, then when I was 12, bought the place he was working at and one of its other franchises. I hope that makes sense because I really don't know anything about all his business stuff. But then basically she had been saving her work money while she had a job, took it out for one nice day out, then eventually all the money she had was gone. And that was when she started asking my dad for money for important things, then using it on random crap she didn't really need or things that weren't essential. Repulsive Egg says, info, does she hoard? That's a good one. I wasn't thinking about that.
This is a good question.
OP says, I'd say no from what I can see. Well, you'd know. If you're living with your mom and she was a hoarder, you'd probably know. The things that she spends her money on are either one-use things or things she sees on the internet or that her friends have that she throws out 2 weeks later because she doesn't like the items anymore. I guess the only things she keeps are like makeup, clothes that she buys with the money, but I wouldn't say all that is hoarding. and there is an update from 9 days later.
OP, a magic fairy comes by and you get an apology from your mother and everything works out.
Man, I hope that. I
Yay.
sure hope so. I hope this doesn't go into. Yeah, so I found out my mom has substance use disorder still, and and that's why she can't have any money to spend on herself.
Oh, have you been talking to that angry troll down that bridge? That's something that angry troll would say.
Yeah, the angry troll down the bridge is her dealer. He's in a trench coat. So for the comments who had said it seems like my mother had a substance use disorder, you're not wrong.
Yeah, we called it. Let's go.
This feels so wrong.
Fist bump to you, viewer.
Oh. Mom got arrested the other night for driving under the influence.
Oh my gosh.
Which turns out my aunt had been sending her hundreds to near thousands a month for what she thought was special needs equipment, but was actually for ketamine.
Oh my gosh. Yo.
After the fight about the money, nearly her whole side of the family was against me, and I still wasn't allowed back home. This made her and Dad fight heaps because he wanted me home, but my mom was literally refusing and was saying she would call the police if I showed up. Then she got arrested. My dad called me and said I can come home from my boyfriend's. I asked if Mom had calmed down, and he was like, no, she's been doing ketamine in this house every night and just got in a car accident. So she's not here, which means I'm here. Get my butt over there. And that was it. To be fair, everyone in my house has just sort of embraced it. I don't know how to explain it. I didn't expect her to be doing substances. I was surprised, but not stunned, and don't know how else to explain it.
Well, if
You're shocked.
she's spending a lot of money and she's not hoarding, like there's not a bunch of stuff, like things coming around, money's going somewhere.
Her and my dad are finally splitting up. Probably for the best. My brother is handling this all right, I guess. I mean, better than most, I would think. His response was mostly just, oh, and listening to what we said about the things happening next, how Mom wasn't going to be around much anymore at all, etc. But by the way, something that's around at all times are the full episodes with stories like this one you can listen to on your favorite podcast platforms like iHeartRadio, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Wherever you're listening to podcasts, all you got to do is search OK Storytime.
Boom.
You can listen to it all.
All day long.
We've got a little more story left. Let this be a lesson.
How? What are we
Sometimes
learning?
you got to argue with your wife. Not in a trifling way, but in hey, we have to have a difficult conversation.
Hey, are you doing ketamine?
When you see things, you can't just be like, oh, I don't like fighting. It's like,
Hey, pee in this cup.
yeah. She's tried texting and calling a few times, but I texted her one time, a big paragraph, basically just letting her know I'm done. I maybe would have been able to forgive her if she didn't drag my dad down with her and spend every dime along his bloodline and have substances in the house where my brother was. I don't care to know if she's going to jail or something. Even if she gets clean and has a come to Jesus moment or something, I really don't care to know her. I think that sums everything up. Sorry it's short, maybe melodramatic. Not for me, obviously, but again, thank you for all the advice. Have a good day. Okay, Bit 1981, has any of your mom's family apologized? OP says, my aunt, but I just told her I don't accept the apology, and I'm not talking to her either. Everyone else is either standing on what they said, or my dad is saying they're too embarrassed to reach out. But I just think they really don't care.
Aw.
I think your dad's right. I think people don't want to be wrong, and then when they are undoubtedly wrong, it's embarrassing.
If someone has heard something about you and they don't ask for your perspective, they've already made up their mind.
That is true.
My brother's girlfriend kept lying about me. Now she's demanding an apology?
You're not getting one.
To say my 24 female older brother, 26 male, is in an unhealthy relationship with his current pregnant girlfriend, 24 female, is an understatement. I truly believe they do not need to be together because whenever I see them, they have extremely high highs, like going on vacation together and being extremely lovey-dovey, or extremely low lows. They have constant and intense arguments. By the way, this comes from Maladaptive Nightmare, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Riley,
I'm Sophia.
I'm Carly.
and we're here to give good advice goofily. But we don't really know that much, and we want to know what you know. Just type it down below in the comments. Every weekend, his girlfriend comes to spend the night at our house. My room is right next to my brother's, so I can sometimes hear through the walls if it gets loud enough. Around a week or two ago, when she was spending the night, my brother had stepped out to get her food. I was in my room watching anime when my brother came back to the house and went to his bedroom where his girlfriend is. After about 2 minutes, I heard loud voices. I turned my iPad's volume up as the arguing started to get louder. Now, you'd expect for me to go in there and figure out what's going on, but like I said, they argue a lot. 1 week, they'll be okay and my brother will sneeze the wrong way, or he will take too long to pick up the phone and his girlfriend will start arguing with him, then block him on everything, and then he comes into the house crying and sad about her. Then she unblocks him a week later and manipulates him into apologizing, and then they continue this cycle every 2 or 3 weeks.
Yikes.
Hot take, that's not his baby. He apologizes for the most stupid crap I've ever heard. For example, my brother once said that he found an artist very pretty in early January of 2023 on Twitter. They didn't get together until the end of 2023, November. She got mad. He said that he found this artist pretty and she blocked him on everything.
What?
And guess what? He apologized for this, for something he tweeted in 2023, calling another woman pretty. Anyways, back to the main story. They're arguing and my brother comes into my room and I ask him what's wrong. He asked if I wanted a burger and fries, and I just finished indulging the devil's lettuce, so I said, heck yeah, free food. According to my brother, here's how the story goes. He went to get her a burger and told the man making it not to put bacon on it because she doesn't like to eat pork. He gets the burger, brings it home, and when she opens it, she inspects the burger and there's bacon on it. My brother was confused why there was bacon on it when he specifically said no bacon, so he apologizes. She starts to take the bacon off the burger, starts blaming my brother for putting the bacon in the burger.
She's like, I know you did it. I know you specifically asked for bacon.
My brother informs her that he told the guy no bacon. Then she blames him for not being diligent about the burger not having bacon in it. My brother asked me if he is truly to blame here, and I said that he didn't go behind the grill and make the burger, and the bacon bits are pretty small, so I wouldn't have seen it either. I let him know it wasn't his fault. He told me that he was going to go outside and get her a different food. But then she told him to leave her alone and gave him the silent treatment when he asked her what else she would want. Now here onto the title of the Reddit story. This Saturday that just passed, I was getting ready to go outside to get Chinese food. As I'm getting ready, my little brother comes into my room and informs me that my older brother is calling me about something important. Now I'm thinking that this is about Thanksgiving, so I sit down and answer his FaceTime on my iPad. I sit down and the first thing my brother says is, did you call Amber weird this last weekend? I looked at the camera confused and asked, why the heck is he FaceTiming me about Amber? He said it was important, and to be honest, Amber is not important to me. I told him, I don't even remember what I ate yesterday. Why would I remember something this small from a week ago? And my brother goes, Amber said you called her weird after you locked the door when I left to get her food for the 3rd time. And then he goes, she said you said it under your breath. Now here's my thing. The door leading to outside is far from my brother's and my room. My brother's room was closed and his bed is pushed to the furthest point away from his door. If I allegedly mumbled that under my breath after locking the door, and she was in the room behind the closed door in the bed that is far from the door, how the heck would she have heard me say it under my breath? Unless she's secretly effing Superman. I don't believe that BS for a second. For context, I know this is so much context, but this is my final straw with this woman. Now, everyone who knows me and everyone in my immediate family knows I'm a sapphic. I'm a proud sapphic, and on my social media, I make it known that I am gay. I love cats. His girlfriend had added me and sometimes watches my story. I used to have a friend over in the summer. Let's call her Robin. Robin stayed the night often with me in my room after partying. One time in July, Robin was in the room on her phone when I stepped out to get some water. I left the door open to my room, and at the same time, my brother walked past to go to the bathroom. After getting water, I walked back into the room and closed the door. His girlfriend complained to my brother that she knew he went into my room and was staring at my friend because he wants her. When I asked Robin what happened, she said she didn't even see my brother, even though she was facing the door. So my brother came to me about this, and I told him that this sounds ridiculous. And guess what? He apologized, even though it didn't happen, because
she threatened to block him again.
This guy is just I don't know, maybe because she's pregnant with his kid. He's like, I got to apologize. I have to make things right. But yeah, this is a super unhealthy relationship.
You might be thinking, what did this have to do with anything? Well, a week or two later, my brother came into the house screaming and cursing. He stormed into my room and called me so many unpolite names. Apparently, Amber thought it would be funny to tell my brother that I went on Instagram and posted a story asking if any straight guy would like to go on a date with Robin. I told him that he's a dunce bucket for believing something so stupid. I got my gayness on the line because his girlfriend said that's what I posted. So I showed him my Instagram story. He apologized to me. My little brother came in and said that he heard the entire thing and wanted to tell my older brother that he's an absolute idiot for believing that. But still, I kid you not, I got screamed at because of this ditzy dumb butt decided lying was going to be fun. My brother confronted her and asked her why she lied, and she laughed about it and said, oh, I wanted to see what you would do. What kind of effed up crap is that? And the saddest part about this is that my older brother and I don't have the best relationship. We've had such a rocky relationship and are finally on a good enough standing point that were cool. So her doing this could have really broken my brother and Mai's relationship. She knows this, and she still did this. And guess what I got? No apology from her. Anyways, I told my brother that this isn't the first time she's been lying on my name to create a rift in our family and reminded him of the Instagram story. My brother tells me that she said she won't talk to my older brother about the baby until both him and I apologize to her.
Oh, Lord.
She just feeds off of this. She's an apology vampire.
Yeah, she's like, you have to say sorry.
Every sorry extends her life by a day.
Yeah, they're like, but what? But we didn't do anything wrong. She's like, I don't care. You have to say sorry.
Now I laugh because I thought he was joking, but he was so serious. Why the F would I apologize for something that didn't happen? And to be very honest, now that she mentions it, she is weird.
Opie's like, I didn't say it before, but I'll say it right now. She's weird.
And there's no way that I'm apologizing to her. She didn't mention apologizing to me when she actually lied on my name. My brother told me she won't talk to him if I don't apologize. And I told him that it's unfair that the stability of their relationship is falling onto me when I have nothing to do with their relationship. So I told him that if she wants an apology, the best I can do is by sending a message to my brother saying, my fault. She's not getting a genuine apology out of me. Then my brother says that that's not enough and I have to apologize to her in person. The audacity of this witch. Apologize in person? No shade to my brother. I am not him. I will not call to her or entertain her BS. So now I will not apologize. I'm someone whose face gives away my emotions very easily and someone who isn't afraid of confrontation. If she wants an apology in person, she's not going to get an apology. I'm going to curse her out for being so audacious and stupid. So I told my brother that he knows that if she asks for an apology in person, she will not get an apology, and I will confront her about all the crap she has done. The only reason I've been nice is because my brother really likes her. Anyways, my brother hung up the FaceTime. She unblocked my older brother, and they're talking again. So she wasn't going to stop talking to my brother if I didn't apologize. She just wanted to make threats like I expected. But my older brother said that I should still apologize. And by the way, you should apologize to us right now. And the way to do that is to go to your favorite podcast platform and search OK Storytime on iHeartRadio, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts and say sorry.
That really hurt my feelings.
So Reddit, am I the a-hole for not apologizing? If I'm being honest, I told my brother that I worry for him in his relationship and say that he needs to take a step away from her and focus on himself. But he's so in deep. I don't want to apologize, but I need to know if I'm in the wrong for not apologizing. Any advice?
I don't think you're in the wrong for not apologizing. I do think the only way to fix this situation is for you to move out if you can. Or when you can. Because I think you living literally right next or like in that same apartment and sharing basically a wall with them is not doing anything for your guys' relationships.
Mind you, a very thin wall.
Yeah. You've expressed your feelings about his girlfriend. And after that, there's really not much you can do to convince him, you know, that she's not a great person. So I think just working on moving out.
Yeah.
My family wanted my estranged brother at my wedding, but I refused to give in.
You're to stay estranged.
For context, my brother, 26 male, and I, 31 female, have been estranged for years. He has always been arrogant, self-absorbed, and unapologetic about past behavior.
Growing up, our mother, 62 female, constantly played favorites. He was the golden child, and he thrived in that role. By the way, this comes from Chili Tomato Cup Noodle, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. And I'm Angie.
I'm Sophia.
And OP says, the last time we spoke, we had a major argument. He has never shown any remorse, and I have made peace with not having a relationship with him. I am a foreign MD working in the US and getting married to my American fiance, 33 male, in early 2026. My family lives in my home country, and we are finalizing our guest list since it will be a destination wedding. My mother insists on letting my brother come along when she found out that he did not know that I was already getting married. She then insisted that I invite him to the wedding. Not sure if this was his idea or purely hers, even asking me to provide an invitation letter to help his chances of getting a tourist visa. I respectfully told her no. Aside from our personal history, the reality is that he is a still a student with very few ties to home, so I doubt he would even qualify for a visa on his own. My parents, who already have valid visas and have visited me before, offered to be his guarantor, saying that my invitation letter would help him out. Personally, I don't want him to have access to me, and I refuse to let him benefit from me. My mom argued that he could stay at a separate hotel and that she just wanted the whole family together. I explained that I don't feel comfortable with him being at my wedding and that I don't want to deal with that stress on what should be a special day. I told her that by insisting on his presence, she was only reinforcing my feelings, that she prioritizes his feelings over mine. She kept pressing, saying that relatives would talk badly if my brother wasn't invited. I finally told her that if she insisted, then she could also consider herself uninvited. That led to a blow-up where she accused me of being ungrateful. We Asians are big on indebtedness to family. She even reminded me that she and my father helped pay for my exams, which were expensive as an international medical graduate. She said the least I could do was grant her this one wish. And I then exasperatedly told her that I would think about it. Am I the a-hole for refusing to invite my brother? Is there a reasonable compromise here, or should I stand my ground? There are some comments, but what do you think, Sophia?
Well, I think that if you have a terrible relationship with your brother and don't want him at your wedding, then don't have him at your wedding.
Yeah,
it's your
honestly.
wedding.
Yeah, I feel like, maybe, you can still keep your parents inviting, like, you could still invite your parents, but, like, yeah, I think if this is really a big deal, I don't know if you need to go into like more detail to your parents about why you're still mad at him or something. Yeah. Like, I don't know. But I think like, they're obviously trying to guilt trip you. Yeah. So I think that's the only reason why that thought is in your head of like that you're the a-hole. So I feel like
I do think it makes sense why your mom is, trying to get you to invite your brother.
Sure.
Like it's her son. She wants him to be there. She wants him in the country.
Right.
I get it. However, it doesn't mean that you have to, do what she says and invite him to your wedding.
Exactly. Some of OP's comments are responding to who is paying for the wedding. OP says, me and my fiance would be paying for the wedding. No financial help from either of our families. Another commenter says, there's a lot of cultural stuff here that I'm not sure how to deal with. I know just enough about Asian family culture to know that I don't know enough to comment on it. If you were one of my friends in my culture, the answer would be not the a-hole. So I'm going with that. Opie says, I agree. That's why I chose to seek opinions here on Am I the A-hole? Cross-posting this to a sub with mostly people from my country would likely invite backlash and pressure me into compromising, since many there are deeply religious and family-oriented. I really appreciate the validation of my decision. It's difficult to untangle ourselves from cultural influences, but being in the US has definitely opened my eyes. Another commenter says, not the a-hole. Just reimburse her for your testing fees. You will never be out of her debt otherwise. The next will be, your brother needs financial help, so you need to help him because I spent so much money paying for your exams. Your brother needs a job. Maybe you can help him go to the US. Nip all of this in the bud. You don't have to explain much at the wedding. Brother doesn't have a visa, so he's not here. Opie says, yep, I'm in the process of paying the exam fees back. This whole situation has really opened my eyes to its gravity, and I don't like having that fact constantly dangled over my head. As for the second part about the job, I can absolutely see that happening. And honestly, as the older sibling, I'm exhausted from always being expected to bail out someone who is so blatantly disrespectful and unappreciative every single time. The top commenter says, no, you don't think about it. No is no. She doesn't get to hold the exams over your head. That was a decision they made as adults and as your parents. Not leverage so they can boundary stomp you. This is not your mom's day. Who gives an F if she just wants her family together? Your wedding isn't about her. She can take it as it is or leave it. Not the a-hole, don't bend. OP says, I agree. I've decided to firmly say no in our next conversation. Okay. I don't owe this to her or anyone, and certainly not to the brat that she raised. I don't want him creating problems for me, and knowing how spiteful he is, I'm sure he'll find a way to violate the trip and drag me into trouble. Another commenter says, not the a-hole. If your brother decides to outstay his visa, your parents and you might be well on the hook for fines and whatever else the U.S. governments think is a fitting punishment.
Yeah, that's a great point. If you vouch for him, if you're the guarantor, not a good look for you.
Not a good look. Any invites you extend in the future would also be looked at with extra sharp eyes. He doesn't care about that, so the answer is no, and no again. Too much risk. OP says, I agree. I remember during my application, they asked whether I had family living in the country, and I think they run background checks. A lot of people from my country tend to overstay, and applications can be denied for far less. Knowing how vindictive he is, I'm certain he'd find a way to get me into trouble. And we do have an update. But yeah, I think those are all very good points.
Yeah.
I think it's just gonna go wrong. And
somehow.
Right. And like that one commenter said, it's like it's definitely gonna be more than this one last wish.
Exactly. They're gonna keep asking you for things.
Yep.
It's probably gonna keep you on the hook for getting him in the country.
Right.
I think it's best to, especially because you don't have a relationship with this guy.
Yeah.
Or your brother.
Absolutely.
Just best to let them figure it out.
Exactly. But we do have an update. So, just got off the phone with my mother. I respectfully told her that she needs to respect my decision not to bring him around. That if he were genuinely interested in reconciliation, he would have reached out himself, not as a grown man hiding behind his mommy. Thank you, by the way, for helping me realize this. I also made it clear that if she was even considering doing something behind my back or to try to spring a nasty surprise on the day of, I would not hesitate to exclude her entirely. To no one's surprise, this was met with a screaming match, followed by the classic religious guilt trip. Do you want an awful marriage? How can it be blessed by God if both parents aren't there to give their blessing? Yada yada. Then came the lecture about what I'd tell my future children if their uncle was out of the picture, and of course the accusation that living in the U.S. has changed my perspective on family. As for my father, I don't think he's aware of all this yet, but I'm sure he'll hear about it soon. Never had an issue with him, though. He's always supported me, even with being no contact with my brother. I know he'd disapprove, but ultimately he would understand. What I expect next is her tried and true stonewalling routine. That's fine. I've seen this pattern countless times. Never resolving conflicts, just freezes me out until she feels like pretending nothing happened. Textbook emotionally immature parent. Even if she decides to patch things up later, it won't be by acknowledging her mistakes, just by softening the silent treatment. And in her eyes, this will always be my wrongdoing. Whatever. Her refusal to respect my boundaries and her continued treatment of me only confirm what I already know. Going no contact with her is the healthiest choice. I can understand, to an extent, why she favors the younger sibling. There are plenty of factors I've reasoned with myself over the years. He's male, following their footsteps as a lawyer, still lives with them, and his backstory as a child was marked by sickness and multiple brushes with passing. So, yes, I get the overprotectiveness. But even on our last get-together trip overseas a few years ago, I recall having to consciously remind myself not to roll my eyes every time she babied him into oblivion, as if he isn't a full-grown man. And I will never roll my eyes at you listening to full episodes with more stories just like this one. Just go to Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or whatever your favorite podcast app is, and search OK Storytime. And there is a little bit more to the story, but yeah, it sounds like she knows what she wants, and I'm glad that she's standing her ground.
And the parents are going to try and bully you, into doing what they want because they got their little golden child son, but
Exactly.
do what you want. It's your wedding.
Yeah, exactly. It'll maybe hire security for the wedding too.
Yeah, honestly.
Just in case someone shows up unexpected. When I raised concerns to her about him and during one instance his arrogance and toxic self-centered behavior, she just brushed it off. In her defense, that he needs to be so and so and develop a thick skin because he's in a high stress competitive environment. So, aren't doctors also in high stress environments? Do we all have to behave that way? Cue silence, of course. I know there are cultural nuances and complexities here, with us being Asian, and a glimpse of our family dynamics that are complicated as all heck. Thank you for all of your insights, and rest assured, on the day of my wedding, there will be plenty of security measures in place. And that's the end of that story.
There you go.
Well, good. That's
Yeah.
good.
I finally found my stepbrother, but then he suddenly disappeared on me.
Is he a magician?
And by the way, this comes from our own subreddit.
No way!
One of our own.
One of our own?
This story takes place over several years, and the outcome is something that I can't get my mind off of. A couple of years ago, I, 33 female, jumped on the 23andMe bandwagon and did a DNA test to learn more about my heritage. I was really into finding out where my family originated from and was never interested in the family matching side of it, knowing my huge family would yield hundreds of matches. By the way, this comes from user Ella the Amulet, and if you want to submit your own stories, just like Ella did, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit.
Yeah.
Yeah! I'm Keon.
I'm Dakota.
I'm Carly.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. Opie says, several months went by, and I would get alerts about new family matches, but never made the effort to see who was there. At this point, it had been several years since I moved out of my parents' house and lived across the country. But in 2018, I had to come back for several months to take care of my mom and younger sister, 15 at the time, as my mom was having major surgery. My sister has cerebral palsy and is unable to care for herself. My mom wouldn't be able to do any heavy lifting, and my dad isn't the helping type of guy. During my stay, I thought it would be fun to finally put time into my ancestry and started building my family tree. I also decided to revisit 23andMe as it had more updates and features, but still didn't check out the relative side. Looking back now, I kept avoiding it for a reason, as I kept getting this gut feeling that I needed to fully see the results. Finally, after several weeks of the nagging feeling, I logged on with my laptop and the results floored me. There was a 25% match with a man labeled as a DW on my family tree. The description stated that this person was related to me as a half-sibling from one of my parents. Ruh-roh. I instantly felt the blood drain from my face and was terribly ill. For a second, I thought it had to be a mistake, but after checking his profile and seeing he came from the same hometown as I did, there was no mistake. He was the product of my father either having an affair or before he met my mom. Again, he's not the type of guy to help around. I took this information very hard, not because I was upset that I had a long-lost sibling, but because I didn't know who he was, how old he was, and how I was going to break the news to my mom. My dad doesn't have the cleanest record. I don't even have a relationship with him anymore due to him just being a horrible human being. For context, just weeks before this, my mom had found out my dad had been cheating with a string of adult workers and had gotten so bold as to let them call the house phone when they were looking for him. Previously, he's accused my mom of cheating and stating that my sister isn't even his. Oh my gosh. All this stems from his own guilt, as my mom is the definition of a saint.
Projector. He's projecting. He's a projector.
And my mother is incapable of what my dad has accused her of. At this point, my mom and dad aren't together anymore, thank goodness. They're still married, but are basically housemates sleeping in separate rooms, with my dad avoiding divorce to keep the peace. But in reality, because he knows he's on the losing side if they were to legally split. Things were tense regardless, and the news of this new sibling wasn't helping much. But after fighting internally with it, I decided to reach out to him. I sent him a message simply stating that the results matched us as siblings and that I had obvious questions. I didn't expect a response, much less so soon. After a few hours, I saw a new message notification, a response from my brother. His name was Daryl, and he said to ask away, and that he had questions as well. Shortly afterwards, I received a notification on Instagram that I had a new follower, followed by a message notification. Daryl had found my Instagram page. Before I opened his message, the first thing I noticed when I saw his page was we had the same tattoo.
Huh? What? What? Is this about to turn into like a memory loss story? What?
We had to separate you from birth because if you guys combine your tattoos, you'll open the ninth gate of HE double hockey
Of
sticks.
Daddy Wumbo.
Yeah. This isn't your typical everyday tattoo. This tattoo is inspired by a band that isn't mainstream. But if you were to go to a show of theirs, you would see that almost every fan has a rendition of this symbol. I felt an instant connection and was in shock at the coincidence. I also had a picture of it posted on my page, so when I opened his message, he said he was sorry for moving so fast, that his husband actually couldn't help himself, and looked me up and was equally shocked that we bore the same tattoo, and noted it was kind of freaky.
Kind of freaky. So y'all just like the same band. That's just cool.
Coincidence? I think not. The second thing I noticed was how similar he was to our dad. I could tell he was on the shorter side, and in his selfies, his hands were identical to our father's. I had no doubt he was my father's kid.
He's got my father's hands.
What?
I can tell he's got my father's manly hands.
I've never heard someone be like, they have the same hands. Interesting. From there, it was message after message, getting to know each other and realizing how much we have in common. He told me about his life, how he was conceived before my parents ever even met. His mom was a substance addict, adult worker in the 80s in my hometown. How he was later placed in the foster care system. He was eventually adopted by a nice couple that he sees as his actual parents, and he didn't want anything from my family or me. He just wanted to know where he was from. I felt so sad knowing all he'd been through and was pissed at my dad for causing this. But at this point, I still didn't know if my dad was even aware of him. I told him as much. I was very straightforward about the type of man our father was and that he would never accept him. My dad is a closet guard and hates anyone that dresses or looks out of the norm. Daryl dyes his hair often, is covered in tattoos and piercings. I told him I was sorry for being the bearer of bad news, and he said he was fine with it, that he didn't have intentions of meeting or getting to know our dad, as he already had his parents that love and support him. Over the next several months to years, we kept in touch with the promise of meeting each other one day. Unfortunately, that day never came as he slowly started removing his social media pages. First was his Instagram account. I quickly noticed and sent him a message on Snap asking if all was well, since I noticed his account was gone. And he said he was okay, but was experiencing hate issues. He's very left-wing and very vocal about BLM, LGBTQ, etc., so I figured it had to do with something of that nature. Our messages between each other also slowly stopped until finally he either shut down his Snapchat or blocked me without any explanation. Before this, I had shared my number with him, but he never called or texted. My final attempt at a connection was returning to 23andMe and sending him a message letting him know that I didn't understand why he stopped talking to me, but I respected his wishes if that's what he wanted. He never responded. All of our conversations were chill, and there was never a rift or confrontation, so I never truly knew the motive behind him cutting me off. I kept the secret for the longest time. I never told my dad, but I did eventually tell my mom. It wasn't until my last visit in 2023 that I finally broke. My mom and I were having a heart-to-heart when I was talking to her about growing up and never being told I was loved by her or my dad. This led to deeper conversations about my depression and my self-worth and how my life had been affected by all of those things. I eventually told her that I had something I was hiding from her that had been eating me alive for the last several years. I told her everything, and it was so freeing. Good on you, OP. Surprisingly, she wasn't upset. She didn't cry. She was eerily calm. She asked if I had told my dad, and I told her of course not. That there was no point since my dad would say that I was making it all up, or how can I possibly know if those tests were even real? The worst part was that the only proof I had was the 23andMe account. All those profiles and pictures of Daryl were gone. She said I needed to tell him, but I refused. Though I said if she wanted to, then she could. She said she was going to save it and place it in her arsenal for the future in the event that my dad tried talking his nonsense again.
Oh. Yeah. Toxic. That's the toxic waste relationship.
Yeah. But
I won't say that. I'll just put it in my arsenal. Excuse me, ma'am. You need an arsenal for your marriage? Are they still married?
they are still technically married, but they are separated.
It's just like, what do you, like, don't even, it's over, you know?
It's been over, but again, he doesn't want to divorce because he knows he's going to lose all his money. Several months go by. It's my birthday. And I'm in the middle of eating dinner with my husband at this restaurant I love when I receive a call from my mom. She wishes me a happy birthday and starts chit-chatting away as she normally does. Eventually, she drops the bomb on me that she confronted my dad about my half-brother. In that instant, my stomach churned, and I wasn't sure if I was ready for her to tell me the story. Before I could stop her, she gave me the rundown. It started when they were talking about a relative having a kid out of wedlock. My dad was making snarky comments about how dumb they were to let something like that happen, and obviously not being careful to not get caught cheating. What? From the cheating guy himself.
Is your dad, like, who is your dad? What is up with that guy?
My mom responded along the lines of, I'm sure you have a lot of them floating around, huh? And he, without shame, said he probably had like 10.
Who are these people?
Who is this guy?
Who is this man?
Opie, I just want to talk to him. I want to talk to your dad. It took all my mom's might not to slap him. Instead, told him she knew of one and essentially told him everything I had told her. Turns out, he knew.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me after how he's been talking. The guy sounds like the most unbothered individual of all time.
At first, he tried to deny it. And how could she possibly know? My mom told him about the DNA test, and I called it. He tried to say it was probably a lie. However, he quickly caved after my mom started sharing the details. He was busted.
That's crazy.
He knew the whole time.
He's like, it's probably a lie. Trust me, I do that all the time. I'm constantly lying. Take it from the horse. I have the mouth. It's the lies.
He said at the time, Daryl's mom showed Daryl to my dad. But my dad didn't believe that Daryl was his. He said he thought the girl was Daryl's sister. For all I know, she may be my sibling too, since Daryl was dark and ugly and she was fair-skinned and pretty. Those were his words.
He called the baby ugly? This baby's too ugly to be my baby. I'm beautiful. Ugly baby. Come on.
It's not what's on the outside, Papa. It's what's on the inside, and you're the ugliest one of them all. But didn't claim either because it wasn't his problem. My mom called him a pig and told him he should be ashamed of himself. Daryl suffered because of his choices. My mom cried for him and told me she later prayed for Daryl, praying to God that he is taken care of and at peace with his life, and begged for forgiveness about my dad being the sick person he was. There's no segue for this. But by the way, you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcast, or your favorite podcast app. Search up OK Storytime, and you can find the fun times, the sad times, the good times, the bad times.
The Fun Time Archive.
You can find all the times with us. There's a little bit left. It's one of those things where it's like, well, we already knew Dad sucked, and this is, I don't even know how you can multiply this by even more, but he's like, at this point, we should just kick Dad out. Dad doesn't deserve anything good going for him. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of the separation agreement is or the process, but come on, folks. It's just like, get him out of there. What are we doing? Where do we need him to be? Where do we want him to be? I don't want him to be around us.
Yeah.
He sucks.
Back to the story. I felt sick. I've never been more ashamed of being this man's blood. It made me so angry that he would see people, much less his own flesh and blood children, as disposable. I shouldn't have been surprised after the way he treated me who actually grew up in the same home, but it was all still a shock. And it all just solidified those negative feelings I had for my dad. I'm kind of glad Daryl never found out this part of his life because I don't want to know what it would have done to him. Would he have been crushed? Would he have ever cared? I'll probably never know. I wanted to share this story to kind of put it to rest, to try and find my peace. I'm still sad about my brother. For a moment, I thought I found my equal, someone who got me and didn't make me feel so out of place. I also just wish I knew how he was. Unfortunately, he didn't luck out with his dad's genetics and suffers from depression like I do, but his is more severe. I hope he's happy and living his best life. Daryl, if you ever read this, just know your little sister still cares and is still holding on to the chance of getting to meet her big bro. Dang, right there. That's, oh man.
That's that. Oh man. Ouch.
Yeah.
My
That does suck.
feelings.
Again, it seemed like you guys wanted to do something, but maybe Daryl, it could be, again, you can respect his wishes of maybe he didn't need to figure that part of his life out. He seems like he found people that loves and cares for him. It does suck for you, OP, because again, you found someone that not only by blood, but just by coincidence, you all seem to mesh well.
Y'all have matching tattoos.
Could be
But
back, you never know. Door doesn't necessarily stay closed forever, but
yeah, and I don't think you can take it out on Daryl. I don't think it's like, okay, we were talking and then you just kind of fell off there. Like, what happened? It's just like, all right, cool. If the door opens again, great. If he reaches out, great. But just be happy that, you found someone that you're related to, and you guys, just in life, you guys, at least cross paths. That you actually had you were able to reach out to him, and even if it was for a moment, I think he loved that. Get your dad out of there. I don't know. Your dad sucks. That's it.
indeed.
I told my family I don't care about them, and it made them furious.
Honesty is the best policy.
I, 20 male, live partially with my mother, 57 female, and father, 45 male, and my twin brother, also 20 male, in a gated neighborhood. I live in another city most of the time for school, being the first one in my immediate family to go to university. I'm naturally their pride and joy, only coming back on weekends to see my pets and take a break from my studies. By the way, this comes from True Throw, and if you want us to make your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we'd do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. We don't get to interact much, and they all miss me when I'm gone, especially my brother, who considers me like his better half, which feels pretty nice to hear. Despite our rocky relationship, he's still a part of my life, and I can't imagine going a day without his soothing presence. He grounds me in a way I can't quite describe. Despite how close we may appear, I don't think I can say I care about him. I don't hate him, but I can't really say how I feel about him either. It doesn't bother me. I like myself well enough, and it didn't bother me because he didn't know. The moment everything fell apart was about 4 or 5 weeks ago. It was during a 3-week break I had from school due to an outbreak of scabies.
Oh boy. What?
I didn't want to stay there being at risk of catching it, so I called up my mom to come pick me up as my car was a wreck after a messy accident. While I don't feel much for her either, I do appreciate her for what she does for me, but I don't like talking to her much. I rarely strike up a conversation. More often than not, I just put one of my earbuds on and listen to music while responding with basic answers so she doesn't think I'm ignoring her. That fateful day where everything fell apart was a Wednesday night. My brother and I had this little ritual when we were teens of hanging out on the roof, just drinking, laughing, watching the night sky, and overall having a good time. During those nights, he'd talk about his work week, recent outings, and hookups, joking about how we could both rock some serious women if we went out together. I would talk about my recent flings and failed flirtings with women at the bar, just pulling each other's leg. But this night was really different. As we both drank our adult beverages, he started to pour his heart out about our mother's behavior when I was away. He and her always had a complicated relationship. After complaining about her, he started to say things about family and how it was the most important thing for someone to have. I'll always remember this as the moment things went down the drain. Despite everything she does to me, despite how she makes me feel or how she makes you feel, she's still my mother and I love her so much, just like you. You only got one family after all, and I would literally pass away for her, especially for you, OP, he said as he patted my back, his teary eyes glistening in the moonlight. I seconded his thoughts with my own. I'll drink to that, like I've always been doing when he brings a subject I have no answer to. But he got curious about my point of view, as I almost never share any real personal information. I'd usually tell him off, changing subjects to my latest relationship, crash, or embarrassing flirt. Anything to not talk about my thoughts and opinions. But for some reason, he kept pressing on, reassuring me that since he tells me everything, he'd love for me to do the same because we're brothers. I had no reason to be worried. He would understand. So after taking another sip of my adult beverage, I started to spill the beans about me, the real me. As corny as that sounds. I told him that family didn't hold that much weight, or even relevance to me as it does for him. Blood doesn't really mean anything to me. Whether we've known each other since we were kids, or we're distant cousins I barely see, it's all the same to me. Nothing that noteworthy. He was shocked, to say the least. He started asking me hypotheticals about my reaction to awful family situations, like mom being hospitalized, him being caught in a fire, or going to prison. Despite what he wanted me to say, I told him the truth. I told him I've been apathetic to their existence for a while now, even for a better part of my life. Honestly, I don't hate them, don't get me wrong, but I just couldn't bring myself to have any real feeling towards them, or anyone in my family for that matter. He stayed quiet for a while, sipping on his maybe 5th bottle while I did the same. Neither of us dared to break the silence for a solid minute. But after a cow wandered into our neighborhood, we started to crack jokes again.
A cow wandered into your neighbor? Where do you live?
For a while, I heard nothing of it. I'd go to school, sometimes to parties, and then come home for a couple of weeks. Since I had my car once again, I could lay off my mom for the travels. Everything was going pretty good, until about 2 months later. At about 1 p.m., I got a message from my mom saying she needed me home because she had to talk to me about something important. Of course, I had my classes, so I asked if it could wait until tomorrow. But she said she needed me to come right now. So I went to my teachers, informing them I was going to be absent for a big part of the day. Then I got in my car and drove back to my little neighborhood. As soon as I approached the door, I could hear muffled words, clearly some of them being my name. Once I entered, the chatter stopped. As I made my way and looked around the living room, I could see many people from my entourage. My mom, dad, sister, grandma, cousins, and my aunt. It was pretty surreal to see. At first, I thought someone had passed away, and they felt the need to inform me. My mother then spoke. OP, we need to talk. I could hear that familiar tone in her voice, that tone of misery and blame she used whenever we were kids, and she wanted us to feel bad for her, but also wanted us to know she wasn't mad. It's hard to describe. I asked what was going on, and she was quick to answer, "We were informed of a little problem you recently revealed to your brother. We just want to talk," she said, holding her head down. I could almost see her holding back tears. I said, sure, not knowing what to expect. One by one, they all started giving speeches about the hardships of family drama, keeping your close ones with you through thick and thin, how I shouldn't stay secluded, and let me help them, whatever that means. My brother was the last one to speak. While he had no bad intentions, his speech went from sad to frustration, as he felt I had lied to him. We've been together as brothers for all our lives. We've shared so much together, so much hardship and adventures, so many highs and lows. And you're telling me, OP, that all of this, the laughs, the tears, the anger, the thrills we lived, that all of that was a lie? Nothing we lived was real, just made up crap you did to seem normal, so you could fool us into thinking you care. That this is all too familiar aggression, and his voice said it all. He wanted me to be honest. He wanted straight answers. I could see him watching me, trying to see a reaction, any reaction from me. But his words just sat with me, slowly coming to the reality that his words had no real meaning to me. I finally spoke after a quiet minute. I told them that while I appreciate the sentiment of them organizing this little reunion because they worry about me, it's really not necessary because there was nothing to discuss. My grandma then chimed in, saying this was something we should all discuss. My sister seconded the motion. She said, "If you just talk to us about your struggles, we can help you, buddy." She claimed she knew a good camp where we could go to for the summer and just talk things out. The whole time, I was just staring at my mom, who was just silently sniffling, studying her features like I was only now seeing her for the first time. She then spoke up again with a much quieter voice. "Do you hate us this much?" I will admit this caught me off guard. I didn't really know what to respond, but I was already in too deep. So I just answered honestly, and my voice a bit colder than I wanted it to be. "I don't care that much about you." The room fell so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. After saying that, I quickly started turning back, walking through the hall to the door until I heard my mom bursting into tears as I left the living room and down the entry hall. I grabbed the door handle, but I stopped for a second, hearing her say, "How could someone so psychotic be my son?" I'd love to say that words hit me hard, that they hit me like the old 1-2 to the gut, that I threw myself into my schoolwork to get my mind off things, that I ran back to the living room crying my eyes out, going on my knees and begging my mom for forgiveness, that I crashed out and cut contact. But I didn't. I just got out to my car and drove back to my little apartment I use for school. It wasn't long before the messages and calls started pouring in, all variations of them calling me heartless and cruel for saying that and making our mother cry. What I used earlier was the wrong term that I was going for.
Okay.
And I cannot remember the right one right now, and I'm going to search it in a second. Okay. But basically, people who don't feel any emotion or care for anybody. Probably it's a thing. He probably has it.
It's not psychotic.
It might be psychopath. I'm double checking before I throw words around.
The fact that none of those affected you, OP, I feel like this being sprung upon you was a lot as well. So I can see where you're like, this is way too much. I feel like your brother should have had a full-on conversation with you about it before any of this, but it does seem like, I don't know, you kind of just took it and you're like, okay, that's just a normal day. I'm not affected by this. I'm going to go straight back to school and just live my life. Like, this is my family, but I don't care for them.
So, yes, I was off with the self-absorbed person one. It is either a psycho or sociopath. The only thing that he's not showing is like the manipulative. Well, he is by lying the whole time and knowing that he didn't really like the deceit, quote unquote deceit,
so just
of,
like,
saying that he did feel it and going on with it.
So he doesn't have to encounter this.
Right. That would be
situation.
What continued to classify him as one. So he probably is, and if it is diagnosed, is something that's fairly common actually. Telling me to come back so we could talk properly like adults when all I did was tell the truth. I'm not looking for any advice or resolutions. I'm just trying to wrap my head around everything that's happened these past 2.5 months. I don't necessarily believe I was wrong for what I said because they asked me to say the truth, and I did just that. Update 6 months later. I wasn't going to make an update because I didn't really see a point to it, but it's been recommended to me by the therapist I saw to write out past events. Might help me to rationalize everything or something. 6 months has passed since this whole thing with my mom, and a bit has happened since then. I've had to block a lot of my family's numbers and left the family group chat sometime after my post. I didn't want to, but I had no choice because of the months and months of never-ending flood of messages and calls from them calling me different variants of evil. My cousin was more or less understanding about my feelings since she works in psychology, so she's unblocked, but we already don't talk much, so it didn't change much. My father also remains unblocked. He sent me a single long message after this whole mess, telling me that while he doesn't fully get what I meant and probably never will, I'm still his son and he loves me just the same as before, even if I don't love him back, and he's willing to give me my space to think. Which, I'll admit, made my throat close up a bit. I may not care for him like he does for me, but he's still my father, and I have immense respect for him. This man was here for every milestone of my life, despite working until dark every day. He always tried to make time for me and my brother when we were little, did his best to be present for every birthday, Christmas, and Thanksgiving, every summer camping trip, every elementary school play. He was there when my first girlfriend dumped me. Even when I told him I didn't feel much for her, he insisted on taking me and my brother to the mountains to clear my head with trusted family and use that time to bond with us because he felt absent from a lot of our life. He was cheering for me at my high school basketball games and graduation. I didn't respond. I couldn't bring myself to do it. It would feel a bit unfair to him if I started saying that I do love him because I know he wouldn't believe it. He's smart enough to know that. But he has remained unblocked. The others, on the other hand, my grandma and sister, wouldn't stop sending me these almost threatening messages and voicemails, which were all variations about how they can't believe I did this. I will regret treating them like dirt. Real family care for each other. She'll get back at me for hurting her daughter. My mom deserves a better son than me. I'm tearing this family apart.
And Opie just looks at it and says, all right.
My mom would call me over and over, always leaving minute-long crying voicemails asking me what she did wrong to make me like this, to please come back, to come see her fix things, telling me she misses me dearly, how she wishes she could turn back in time and make things right, to just talk to her. But she wouldn't let me talk when I did answer her calls. She'd just start talking incoherently through tears, or my grandma would use her number to insult me. So I blocked her, at least until she pulls herself back together so we can really talk. My brother was the most surprising of them because he was completely silent through the whole ordeal. No calls, emails, or visits to confront me. I didn't expect that given his temper. Like him coming to my place to drag me outside just to fight, but there's been nothing. My aunt, out of all the people that were at the intervention, was the most understanding. She's the only one I kept any sort of consistent contact with. Instead of trying to guilt me for my feelings or lack thereof, she actually wanted to talk to me alone about the whole thing. I was a bit on the fence, thinking it was another intervention ploy, as she called it. But I was pleasantly surprised when it really was just me and her. We sat down and started some small talk. I don't see her often, so it was nice to catch up. After that, we actually started the serious talk. She asked what the whole ordeal was about because, of course, my brother didn't tell her everything I said. So I had to tell her the truth. My aunt stayed quiet for a bit before putting a hand on my shoulder and telling me I had done nothing wrong and had no reason to feel guilty or anything. Even if she didn't quite get how I felt, she always understood me more than the others. She said she had my back, and I was always welcome in her home. We spent the rest of the day talking about schoolwork and life in the city. It was a good distraction from everything. At the start of August, after a bit of consideration and discussion with my friends, they recommended I go see a therapist. They don't know the full story and just know me and my family are not on speaking terms right now. Normally, I'd give a vague reason as to why I didn't want to. Most of the time, I'd call it a scam for people who are just soft, when in reality, I just don't want to spend that much out of my wallet. But with this whole mess happening, I thought it was worth trying. If anything, just to see why I felt this way about my family. So I booked a session. I was kind of nervous since I never went inside a therapist's office before. Her office was very clean, very organized. It felt calming, more at ease, almost peaceful. We started our session and already hit a wall because I couldn't stop masking, as she called it. I was a bit hesitant not to mask at first, since in the past I've been often chastised by others for not feeling like others. It lasted for about 20 minutes before we started talking about my family and the root of our distance. I told her the truth. I saw no point in hiding anything from her. We talked about my relationship with my family the entire session, but nothing substantial came out of it. She kept asking if at any point in my life I could feel something stronger than pleasantries towards past lovers or relatives, and I kept telling her the same thing. I tried, but I couldn't do it. Every time she seemed almost disappointed by my answers, but she didn't comment or anything, just took notes and moved on to other questions regarding past behaviors. By the way, regarding full episodes, you can listen to them with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, search up OK Storytime, and there's gonna be a ton of full episodes with tons of stories.
Oh, yes. That's good on OP to come to fruition of why is this happening? Why I have these emotions when it comes to just any strong bonds, which is good. Good for you seeing a therapist. I think it's the thing of you can't change the way people are or how they behave or how they feel. If that's how they feel, you know, that's one thing. So I can totally understand OP on that. Again, I think the way that your some of your family members do understand, like not necessarily completely, but they're like, that's just how he is. And you know what? I have to respect that.
Yeah, I don't think that you should have to change or anything. I think that going to therapy is a good thing for him to, one, maybe get a a name to why he feels like this, and a way for him to be like, and this is the reason why, like, it's not in my head that I can't make myself have these feelings.
Yeah.
Like, there's been something behind it, and as he's already learning how to unmask a little bit.
Yeah, and I think he can't even explain it. He's just
Yeah,
like, that's how
exactly.
I feel.
Which
And-
can make you feel just like you're going a little nuts because you don't know why you can't do what other people seem to be so easily able to do.
Or to feel, or how to
Right.
respond.
So
And-
just having that is sometimes such a relief for
And
a
I
person.
think now coming to this, where we're at in the story, I don't think anyone here is really an a-hole.
Once it was over, I asked her if she could tell me what I had, but she said it isn't my area of expertise. Though she did recommend me go see a psychiatrist or a clinical psychologist for a proper diagnosis if I wanted. Or I could write out my thoughts as a way to externalize it and see it from another viewpoint. So now I'm writing this post while waiting for my appointment next month. Scratch that, my brother came here like an hour ago banging on the door and screaming, trying to get me outside to talk, but I know he wants us to fight. I guess what I said really hit a nerve with him. He almost broke my window throwing rocks at it, calling me a chicken crap coward for running away while our mom is a mess. I could hear through his insults that he was on the verge of tears, really angry tears. After a while, he just left. But I don't think I'll be going outside anytime soon, just in case. I'll put a word in with my professors that I won't be present for a couple of days. I think I'm shaking a bit. That is a lot, OP.
Yeah.
All around. So I hope that your next appointment goes really well and that you can get some answers that you're looking for.
I think you should also relay this to one of the family members that you're close to. Your dad, probably your dad or your aunt that you still talk to and that aren't blocked and they still kind of try to see your perspective. He's like, hey, let everyone know in the family, I'm trying to figure this out. You don't even need to apologize kind of in a sense right now, but just like, I'm trying to figure this out. Please let me do it on my own accord. And then if everyone's civil, we can do this like adults once I figure it out, because I'm, this is what I've been used to. This is how my brain has been processing things my entire life. And I just kind of recently discovered this where I'm like, maybe this isn't right or something, maybe there is a reason for this or there is a cause. Can you guys respect that? Thanks. Again, at the end of the day, I don't think anyone here is really the a-hole.
I think I've said all my thoughts. I'd just be repeating things at this point. But good luck, OP.
Good luck, OP. Hopefully you can discover more about yourself and repair those bonds if you really want to. Again, just now catching to the beginning of the story where he's like, I fail at flirting with women.
I know I said that.
It's just like, it's all putting it all together now. So, but speaking of putting it all together, we're at the end of it. We put it all together for you, and now we're done. That's the end of that story.
My brother thought I would never fight back, so I proved him wrong.
Ooh, gotta catch these hands, bro.
My brother Sam always treated me like trash. I was a lonely kid from skipping grades, so I didn't know what friend or sibling relationships were supposed to be for a long time. I forgave him for a lot of stuff I shouldn't have. I've always had this vibe where people are calmer around me and don't put up a guard, so I get told a lot. Sam knows how much I've always wanted to be his friend too, so I don't think he ever considered what might happen if he really, truly pissed me off. By the way, this comes from Sweet Liberty. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Angie.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, by 30, I'd hoped maybe he'd be mellowing out, but no. He only reaches out at the last minute on holidays when he needs something. I live with my parents. I've grown emotionally as an adult, valuing myself and realizing how crappy he treated me. I started to resent him and stopped reaching out to hang or talk. And we didn't talk for months. On Mother's Day, we went out with Sam and his fiancée Leah for brunch. I had a bad migraine, but went in case Sam bowed out last minute like he usually does. I didn't want my mom to feel sad. Before, I'd be very lively trying to talk to him. I barely spoke 10 words to him, maybe 100 the whole meal. And the only time he spoke to me was to talk down to me. The restaurant was busy, so we left our table and went outside. It was hot and bright, bad conditions for a migraine. Leah has chronic migraines, so you'd think he'd be sympathetic. But he didn't even notice I wasn't well. Sam didn't get Mom a gift, just a card. It was a sonogram. Sam and Leah have been engaged for a while, but no one likes Leah, and for good reason. My parents were pretending to be happy, but I didn't bother. What are the reasons? Opie, what are the reasons?
We need to know.
After a little while, the light and heat were making me feel sick, so I asked my dad if we could go now. Sam snapped that no one asked me to come, that I wasn't invited. Mom quickly shut that down. I tried to walk away to the car and sit, but he said, "Wow, that's crappy family for ya." All heck broke loose on. I turned around and screamed, not caring about our 7-year age gap, difference in height, or strength. The entire group froze in shock because I'm always soft-spoken and gentle. I reminded him he admitted he wasn't happy in his relationship and that Leah made him miserable and would make a terrible mother. He was afraid of being alone. I took him in when our parents kicked him out. He hurt me for trying to sleep in my own bed, then didn't talk to me for 2 years because I didn't let him drive wasted that night. He gave me PTSD. He has the gall to deny and laugh about it. He never visited me in the hospital or during the 3 months of recovery at home after I was in an accident. Leah had a tragic one before and still brings it up, so you'd think he'd have sympathy. When he finally unfroze, his argument was pathetic. It was that my parents paid for my college apartment. They paid for his too, but okay. And this was the reason when I asked him if I could stay in a worst-case scenario after fighting with our mom, he said no. Then his stock reaction when he knows he's wrong, puffing up his chest, saying, "Lay a hand on me, bro." Mom would never punt me out. Sometimes we fight, as you do with people you live with. It helps my anxiety to make backup plans I don't actually need, and Sam is aware of that. I told him to never, ever contact me again because he is not my effing family. Dad gently steered me back to the car, and I sat inside. They talked for a while after I got in, but I wasn't listening. Leah said she isn't speaking to her family and now doesn't even have his family. Way to admit we aren't family. Leah tried to explain that Sam declined because they have 2 large dogs, and they were worried something might happen to my tiny dog, Pebbles. My mom said I never planned to bring Pebbles because I couldn't separate her from my parents' dogs. Leah looked confused and said Sam told her I wanted to bring the dog. Sam said he'd never visit the house again as long as I lived there and tried to get my parents to punt me out. Mom shut that down too and clarified that I'm higher on the totem pole than he is by a lot and it's his own fault. At first, Mom was torn. She agreed that my brother was completely wrong but didn't want to just cut off one of her kids. But as I laid out all the crap he'd done and admitted to me, that changed. Mom was furious and apologized that they didn't punish him enough when we were kids, figuring siblings fight, and I was always the kid that was fine. She texted Sam that an apology would go a long way, and he declined, saying he wasn't ready to deal with her yet. My parents told me that if I'm not invited to the wedding, they won't go either, so he would finally have some consequences. I wouldn't go. It's the principle. Some of what I told her was the actual sum of money he'd stolen from Dad over the years. We knew, but didn't think it was $800.
Oh, wow.
He had spicy sleep in my parents' bed, and just how badly he hurt me. Sam only has his good job because Dad pulled strings. This ungrateful brat didn't even text him on Father's Day, going off on Mom for reminding him to text because it ruined his day. That pissed us off a lot, and while we were venting, we realized how badly he effed himself. Leah doesn't have many friends, no close females. Sam doesn't either. He made poor choices. She isn't speaking with her sister, sister-in-law, or mom because she's throwing a tantrum that grandma won't have undivided attention on her kid. I always wanted to feel included, so they were probably banking on me to help plan the baby shower and appointments for wedding details. I enjoy organization. No idea who will help her now. Sam would force me to dog sit when he lived here, knowing I can't put an animal in the crate if I'm there, and he never gave me a heads up or asked. Leah already alienated Mom for babysitting with a witchy comment years ago, and Leah said she wouldn't want strangers watching her kids. So they probably figured I'd be the compassionate sister, as always, and watch my nibbling. Sam often used me as a therapist. When my dog of 14 years passed, I got nothing. One of his dogs is older and already blind and deaf. He told me he was terrified of the day she passed because he wouldn't know what to do. Well, can't lean on me anymore. I haven't bothered checking, but I figured the engagement is strained. Sam is a known liar, and I can barely try to bluff in a game of Uno. Leah heard what Sam said about his feelings towards her and realized Sam lies to her about me. Wonder how that's working out. Don't know, don't care. They're both blocked. We have a bet going that he doesn't want to deal with me yet because he thinks by his birthday I'll cave in and get him a gift, and he'll get out of this with no apologies yet again. His mistake. We have an update.
Oh my god.
That was a lot of information, some
was.
of which was a little confusing, but I get the gist of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're standing up for yourself.
Go OP.
Yeah, I see no problems. I see you just like breaking out of your softer shell and finally, not being a doormat. Maybe you weren't quite a doormat before, but you're definitely not one now.
Yeah.
And you seem to have a good head on your shoulders of like, you know exactly what's right. So just trust that.
Yeah, you finally hit your point of like, I'm done. We have an update. Some of you may remember that Sam's birthday was in September. It came and went quietly by some miracle. I think he finally got the message that he passed the point of no return this time. Turns out that Sam and Leah got married just before September, aka the cutoff date for adding spouses and dependents to the good health insurance plan Sam gets from work. Pretty sure it was arranged for that. And by the way, we've arranged it so that you can always listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, search up OK Storytime. Got a little bit more, but wow.
That's crazy. I totally would think it's right before the insurance. I mean, if they're going to do it anyway.
It sounded like most people weren't coming to their wedding anymore, so.
Yeah. The fact that she just
Might as well.
found out later that he got married, it's like, oh,
Okay.
no mention
Sure.
of that. Yeah.
I wasn't happy when I found out. Not that I care about the wedding. I hate sharing a last name with these trash people. I wish we could take it away. My mom and dad also informed me that for the past few years, they'd only been civil to him for my sake. Mom told me about a time they were calling my brother to find a day to give him a present, and Sam said, "Yeah, I'll see if I can make time next week," and did the goodbyes with my mom, but forgot to hang up, then said to Leah, "Yeah, right, like that'll ever happen." They never told me because I loved him. They also let me know that since all of this has gone down, they completely changed the will, and I will get everything when they pass.
Whoa.
End of that story. Oh my god. My mother's favoritism tore our family apart, and now I've had enough.
I've had enough too.
I come from a Middle Eastern country. My parents have 3 sons and 1 daughter. While I am the youngest, 32 male, my oldest brother, John, 50 male, is by far the favorite child by my mother. My father doesn't express opinions often. When John was born, he had many health problems, so my mom practically lived with him in the hospital for the first year. By the way, this comes from Throwaway Quite Mimley. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Keon.
I'm Angie.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do. So let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, every time we talk about something, the topic changes to John. I can tell them that I have problems at work. Oh, John just solved his problems with his boss. Take advice from him. When talking to him, nothing of the sort happened. My mom expedited a meeting he had with his boss. It might be in my head, but I even have the feeling that she sometimes addresses my girlfriend Joanna as Jonna. Except for my sister, Mary, 40 female, and my parents, who are too old, all of the siblings moved to different countries. John to Europe, James to Canada, and me to Australia. My parents visit John in Europe about 3 times a year for 2 to 3 weeks at a time in his country. They spend more time with John's family than with my sister. They visited me, or the second eldest, James, once. James moved to Canada about 6 years ago. My mother had a lot of problems with James and Mary. Ended up in group therapy with both. Both times my mom claimed that their respective spouse is taking her child away from her and whispering mean things to them about her, etc., etc. While Mary had more emotional problems, mom doesn't love her as much as John, mom doesn't care about her children, mom keeps on alienating her spouse. James's problems were very monetary. He claimed that the parents gave him less money than to John, as well as babysitting his kids less. As the last one to leave the nest, I had some more knowledge about my parents' finances. And I can say that, except for one incident, which I will address later, my parents gave about $250K to John, about $300K to James, about $100K to Mary, and about $50K for me. I went back to grad school and have not gotten married yet, so I didn't need much. In about 2010, my parents received a plot of land near their house and told all the children that if they wish to have it, they can, if they agree to the following rules. A. The building of the plot will be led and mainly financed by the child. B. The child will live in said plot and help take care of the parents who are growing old and in increasing need of aid. Mary, who held a government position on the other side of the country, and me, who only just finished high school, were out of the picture. John and James could not decide. James insisted that due to the high value of the land, it needed to be sold and split between the siblings, while my parents said that it's a no-go. After 2 years of debating, John picked up the glove and built the house. Later, living in it for about 4 years, before leaving the country due to work relocation, not by choice, but this is another story, James felt and still feels robbed. The main incident happened half a year ago. My parents, who are still in need of aid, deciding to buy a house in Europe right next to John, claiming this is an investment for the future. When we will pass on, this house will be passed to you, OP, while I live and plan on settling in Australia, which is in fact very far from Europe.
Is it now?
It's a little bit of a ways.
For us, it's pretty close.
Right now, yes.
Yes.
When James heard about it, he blocked my parents. And a month ago, after he calmed down, he told me that he decided to cut ties with my parents, that he felt second best at most, and that he couldn't shake the feeling that this animosity towards his wife continued for so long. And he is afraid to have the same treatment towards his kids. He is also in therapy. My mother, on the other hand, is crying nonstop about reaching out to him, about trying to get back in touch, and about seeing her grandkids. She asks about him every day, and I don't know how to break it to her. The worst thing is she does not accept blame or guilt. She constantly gaslights things about everything being his fault, etc. And now I'm stuck in the middle of this charade. And she acts as if I'm trying to change her in her old age is some sort of a crime. How can I tell her, look, his life is better now without you. It's your fault he cut you off knowingly. If you are ever given a second chance, you will need to earn it. How can I convey the situation to my mom? Do you have any advice regarding solving this? Thank you in advance. And we do have an update. But first.
With John being in Europe, because they live in the Middle East, that's probably the closest of the kids other than Mary and OP. Because one of them lives in Canada.
OP's in Australia.
OP's in Australia.
John is in Europe.
Yeah.
James is in Canada. And Mary's
on the
one
side
that
of the country.
stayed, I think.
Yeah,
but
she's
in
like
the same country.
I guess that makes sense. I don't know. I feel like what has your dad been in this, like with these decisions? Because it looks like your mom's just like the one doing everything. Obviously, there's a golden child scenario here with a lot of the details you've given us. That's really weird. They're like, oh yeah, we bought this house like in Europe, but it's yours, OP. Like, thanks. I didn't want it.
I live in Australia.
But I want to live in Australia.
Thanks so much.
They're okay. Well, it'll probably just go to John. So
yeah. Update. I have decided not to take any drastic measures and simply dismiss any time my parents try to probe me with next time maybe, I don't know, we'll see, etc. Recently, as you might be surprised, the Middle East is having issues, and I felt like this was the first time James tried to probe about the family, if they're all safe, thankfully. My mom keeps writing letters to James and sending them via email. In these, she tries to guilt trip him into sending her information, such as pictures of his kids, etc., with wishes for him to soften his stone heart. And every time I hear about this, I'm pissed time and time again.
That's so funny that OP gets pissed off. Can you imagine how James feels?
Yeah.
Like, excuse me.
She keeps them all about herself, and there is so little, if any, care for him, how he is doing, and what happened between them. After the last time, she sent me one, saying I was pissed out loud and told her off, saying that if she keeps sending it to him, he will block her email as well, something his friend slipped out. He does read them, at least until 6 months ago. And she asked me, well, what letter would actually help? Can you show me? I immediately thought that this might be a golden opportunity to let her see herself from the outside and might be the only one in sight. So I agreed with one condition, that she would never send it. If she decides she likes it, she would have to write something herself in her own words and her own interpretation. She was pissed. How dare I claim she might do such a thing? Such blatant plagiarism, etc., etc. She might have said more, but I couldn't care less. And it's not as if she would do such a thing, would she? So after working with a friend, she wrote the letter. James, I wanted to apologize for everything. The image of our conversation hurting you for all these years is so painful. In addition to the idea that you feel the need to protect yourself from us, your own parents. I cannot undo what has been done up till now, but I can apologize, try to change, and maybe, slowly, we might be able to heal what is broken. Yet, I cannot do it without your help. I know our actions made you feel unequal. That John is the priority, and I am so sorry for that. We have no such will or feeling, and I apologize that our actions caused you to feel like that. We have very difficult times being disconnected from you, your kids, and your wife. In addition, I would like to apologize to your wife. Her addition to our lives included you drifting apart from us, and a lot of this frustration ended up against her with no fault of her own. And for this, we are sorry, as for only thanks to her, we received our wonderful grandkids, for which we can only be thankful. I think daily about Aaron, Billy, and Charles, and wholeheartedly wish to have some sort of relationship with them. Next year, OP's wedding will take place where we are going to meet. I would like to meet you there in a positive manner, so as to allow OP the peace on his special day. He does not deserve that our situation will darken one of the most important days of his life, especially with the current situation in our country. This day is not ours, it is his, and we need to make sure he is the center of this occasion. We need to make this work not only for him, but for us as well. I don't wish to go back to our previous relationship. I wish to recreate and reconstruct a new one in which I can assure your importance to me in a way that will be acceptable for both sides in a constructing, enriching manner, and would love your help rebuilding it. Love, Mom. After writing it, I kept it to myself until my mother would raise this topic again, which took about a month. As we were talking about it, I reminded her of my one rule, to which she responded, yeah, we already talked about it, and I sent it to her. After reading it, she told me I'm a wonderful son and she is happy to have me. She said that she has read it and now understands my position about this better. Of course, I didn't tell her I'm not the only one who wrote it, but I let her think whatever she wants. She said she agrees with everything but the paragraph about his wife, which she will continue to hate. And other than that part, she agrees. She thinks about erasing it and sending it as is to him. I was pissed and lost it at her. Literally one condition, and she pisses all over it. I told her that if she does anything of the sort, she could kiss my help goodbye from now on, and I was much less nice. She backtracked, said she was kidding. We both know she was not, and I told her to watch out. She started going to a shrink. Once again, she tried before and stopped after 3 times at most. My guess is that she couldn't stand the mirror and preferred closing her eyes to it, but this time she will be persistent. It lasted 4 times. She wrote another letter. About a month after, more of the same previous guilt trips. Took absolutely nothing from my letter, for better or worse. When I told her to look at the differences and see for herself, yours was integrating while mine was not. And with this, my hope was lost. But, by the way, all of your hope doesn't have to be lost, because there's more full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and search up OK Storytime. There's a little bit more.
She's sending that letter.
Yeah.
I think she likes toying with you too, OP.
I'm sure.
She's like, oh, I'm joking. My finger's on the send button. I'm going to send it. No, I'm kidding, but I'm going to send it. Your mom is someone who just doesn't care. No matter what you say, what you do, the fact that she's like, yeah, whatever. It's like she brushes it off. She's in her own world where she thinks she knows everything. And obviously, like a lot of parents will act like that, but she doesn't care about your opinion. She wants to do it her own way. She thinks her way is the only way. She's gonna do it. And once she does it, I'm not saying you should cut off ties with her right now or like you're done with her. But once she sends it, she has spat all over you, your ideas, your ideals, your help, whatever she wanted from you. I would give up. At that point, I'm like, all right, cool, you did it. I told you the consequences of your actions. Now you lost another one.
Yeah, we've got a little bit left, though. I'm going back to my previous bubblehead mode and stonewalling every time they talk about him.
The memorial for my hope with this subject will be held at the next Milwaukee Brewers game. Bring adult beverages. Regarding myself, we sent the papers and are now officially husband and wife. I am the luckiest man alive. The ceremony will only take place next year, and I have already instructed my friends to block any chance of mischief from my mom. That is the end of that story.